This report sponsored by Boost Mobile. The crash I-15 southbound at Flamingo. Vehicles off to the right. The slowing pattern on 15 South still from Lake Mead Boulevard all the way to Tropicana. Northbound I-15 slowing from the Southern Beltway to Spring Mountain. And a crash reported on the Southern Beltway westbound at Stephanie. Vehicle off left, and that's still creating a backup to the 95 heavy. And on the 215 Southern Beltway in southwest Las Vegas, delays out of the Durango. Curb slowing will continue to Decatur. Step up with Boost Mobile and get a super reliable, super fast nationwide network. Perfect for the whole family. Switch to Boost Mobile. John Michaels from the KDON Traffic Center.
Get the rest you deserve with Helix Sleep. Helix makes personalized mattresses to fit your unique body type and sleep preferences and give you the best sleep of your life. Go to helixsleep.com and get up to $200 off mattress orders.
I'm Jim Snyder.
And I'm Marie Mortera. We want to thank you for making News 3 your #1 choice for news.
Every weeknight at 11, you can count on us to have the big story of the day.
Plus breaking news that matters to you.
Jim Snyder and Marie Mortera. News 3 live at 11.
Eric's IRS troubles were nasty.
I had 10 years of unpaid tax returns. I owed a ton of money in taxes. I started getting letters.
And unbelievably complex.
Things that are written in the tax code are so complicated that if you don't pay a tax professional to do your taxes, you're going to screw up. This was such a complex problem, I did not think anybody could solve it.
Eric's whole life was about to go down the drain, so he called Optima Tax Relief.
Optima was able to make sense out of a huge disaster, and Optima stopped it.
To say the least, Eric was very relieved.
They got me out of hot water, that's for sure. Optima saved me a boatload of money and got me out of a horribly complex situation. It's a huge relief and a huge weight lifted off my shoulders.
Got a nasty, confusing tax problem? Do what Eric did and call Optima right now for a free consultation. Call 800-375-2922. 800-375-2922. 800-375-2922.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Regaining control of your drinking doesn't have to mean uncomfortable group settings or the unrealistic expectation of sobriety. Meet LifeBack, a physician-approved, completely private, app-based program designed for those who want to cut back on drinking without having to quit completely. Using a combination of medication proven in clinical studies to reduce the urge to overdrink in 92% of people and in-app coaching and support tools, LifeBack makes drinking a choice rather than a habit or a need. Every aspect of your LifeBack plan is managed on our mobile app from the privacy of your phone, and medication is delivered directly to your doorstep without the need for in-person doctor appointments. Start the LifeBack program now and treat yourself to sharper focus, better health, stronger relationships, and saved money while still enjoying moderate drinking. Visit lifebac.com. That's lifebac.com. Get your life back today with LifeBack. Visit lifebac.com.
101.5 FM, 720 AM. KDON, the talk of Las Vegas. The opinions of the hosts on KDWN are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of this station, its management, or Beasley Media Group. Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro. 1, 2, 3.
Oh yeah, what's up, Vegas? Happy Friday. It is the Vegas Take. Sharp and Shapiro, glad you could join us. Everybody should be in a good mood. Well, it's my Friday anyway, but it's Vegas, so if you're a dealer going to work, it could be your Monday, but I don't care. I don't care about you. I just care about me, and it's my Friday. Anyway, glad we can all be with you. A lot to get to, a lot to go over today. We're going to get to a little bit of hoops, a little bit of basketball. Usually we don't lead with basketball, but yesterday was the end of the UNLV basketball season, so we're going to talk a little bit about that coming up in a few minutes. This is going to be a lot of fun. At the bottom of the hour, this guy's awesome. First of all, let me just say, I love the Las Vegas Aviators. If you don't know who they are, AAA Baseball Ball Club, Jim Gemma, Don Logan, those guys over there who run this organization are fantastic. And Don Logan, who happens to be the president of the Aviators, will be joining us. Why? Well, besides talking a little baseball with him, the Chicago Cubs and the Cincinnati Reds are in town this weekend. And Major League Baseball, we had it last week, and now the Cubs and the Reds are in town in this amazing ballpark in Summerlin. So Mr. Don Logan himself, the Aviators president, will be joining us at the bottom of the hour. Coming up in hour number 2, this might not be a shock to many of you. See, you'll see how I use my words, JD.
That was actually really good.
Yeah, see how I do that?
Mhm.
Well, his name is Aaron Schock, and he is a Republican lawmaker, 6 years in Congress. He has just come out as being gay. I think Mike Pence will follow him, but that's another story. But anyway, this guy has now come out, but the interesting part of it is it's 6 years as a congressman. He voted against many measures supporting the LGBTQ community. So we got a guy coming on the show. His name is Adam Sank. He is a very popular podcaster out of New York who also happens to be gay, and he's going to tell us why he says this man does not deserve forgiveness from the gay community. So he'll be coming up in hour number 2. You know, Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, their names have not come up that much recently, but they are now because they're both really opening up about Bill Clinton's sexcapades. They're out of politics now. You know, Hillary Clinton did an interview on the Howard Stern show a few months back. I actually enjoyed it very much because I thought we finally saw the human side of Hillary Clinton, and we're getting more of that now, and that's actually what I like to see. So that's going to be coming up in hour number 2. Hour number 3, I met this woman, this beautiful woman. She is extremely attractive and super cool to talk to, by the way. Her name is Tomi Lahren. If you don't know who she is, she works for Fox Nation. She graduated at UNLV. She's a household name when it comes to conservatives. Why? Well, she makes all these appearances all over the networks, whether it be Fox News, and she works for Fox Nation. And again, she is a graduate of UNLV. She lived here in Las Vegas for some years, and she's going to be joining us on the show, hour number 3. She's a conservative, obviously, and got a lot of questions to ask her, including some questions involving Donald Trump, the coronavirus. We're going to get into Super Tuesday. Who does she think has the best chance of beating Donald Trump? Would it be Joe Biden? Would it be Bernie Sanders? So Tomi Lahren will be joining us in hour number 3. I want to start by talking UNLV basketball. We went on the air yesterday. Not to gloat, because, JD, you are a very good sports handicapper, better than me when it comes to pretty much every sport, except for, because you don't really dive into tennis and golf as much as I do. I'm pretty good with tennis and golf, but I'm talking all the major sports, you're better than me. I think I'm pretty good I'm not saying you're not good when it comes to college basketball. I'm pretty good at picking college basketball games. That's my forte.
You know, I would say that you have a better grasp of the Mountain West than me.
I'm pretty good
when it comes to
picking
college
games.
basketball, and I'll give you that credit.
So yesterday, obviously, it was UNLV versus Boise State in the quarterfinals of the Mountain West Conference at the Thomas and Mack Center. And I said, this is a bigger game for Boise State than UNLV. Why? Well, because I believe Leon Rice, the head coach of Boise State, on the hot seat. You can't lose in the quarterfinals of the Mountain West Conference and just underachieve every year like he has in the tournament. And for UNLV, you've had a decent year, but when you heard that Dimitri Long was out, a man who's averaged like 17...
Brian, it's Mitru Long.
Mitru Long. 17 points a game he's averaged in the last 5 games. And you learned that he was out. He wasn't playing. And that was a big issue for UNLV. But even if he was playing, I probably still would have picked Boise. But yesterday I picked Boise. And the reason why I did is I thought, you know, it was just one of those situations where it was the right time for them. They're going to lose tonight against San Diego State. But that's why I thought Boise was going to win the basketball game. When we actually break down the game and we talk about what happened, you know, you don't have to be a brain surgeon to figure it out. Obviously, R.J. Williams had a huge game for Boise State. He was the difference maker with 23 points and 15 rebounds. But UNLV did not help themselves at the free throw line. They missed a plethora of free throws.
Yeah, they were actually 16 of 26, 61.5% from the free throw line, Brian.
You make 4 or 5 more of those, and we could be talking differently. But I was at the game yesterday. I got to say the UNLV crowd was not as good as it should have been. I know that some people were praising it. I got to tell you something. There's more New Mexico fans in there yesterday than UNLV fans. That should never happen. Should never happen. But, you know, what's new when it comes to UNLV basketball? The students don't show up. The fans don't show up. We all know that. Maybe that'll change next year because I think next year is going to be a good year. We'll get to that in a second. But as far as the game goes, they got off to a lousy start. Offensively, they were not making shots. They didn't look crisp on the offensive end of the floor. Part of that is due to the fact that Long was not out there. Amari Hardy was absolutely terrible, and he is the heart and soul of this team. We all know Hamilton is their leading scorer. He's turned into their star player this year. But Amari Hardy is still your guard. He's still your superstar. He's the guy you rely on to create off the dribble. He had a really bad game. I thought it would come down to Alston. I think Alston was much more engaged yesterday than he was a few weeks ago when they played UNLV and got routed. Alston had a decent game, but certainly R.J. Williams was the star of the game. But again, when you look at this season, And by the way, there is no postseason for UNLV. They're not making the NIT. It's not going to happen. And I told you that, JD. And I know you were saying they make the NIT anyway. I'm telling you, there is no chance they're making the NIT. It's not happening. Boise State's going to be an NIT team. You could make the argument that Utah State is right on the bubble. If they make the finals and they don't win in the finals against San Diego State, they could be in the NCAA tournament. They could be an NIT team. I'm telling you right now, a 17 and 15 team, the NIT is not going to, the committee, they're not going to invite UNLV. It's not going to happen. And they're not going to accept an invitation to the CBI because it'll cost too much money. And I think the standards are a little bit too high for UNLV. And I asked TJ Otzelberger about that yesterday, and basically he said no. So, no, I don't think they're an NIT team. I think that would have put this season over the top, and you could have said to yourself, great season for UNLV basketball. If they had won the game yesterday, I don't care what would have happened today. Great season, TJ. You're probably an NIT team, maybe, but now there's no chance. So it's one of those things where you say to yourself, it was an average season. It was certainly a better season probably than any Marvin Menzies season they had here, but it would have been nice if they could have at least gotten out of the quarterfinals of the Mountain West Conference tournament. So those are my thoughts. We're going to play an interview I had with Amari Hardy after the game, JD. But what were your thoughts on the performance yesterday?
Well, the performance was predicated on the fact that Mitru Long didn't play. Donnie Tillman also didn't play. They had to start Vitaly Scheibel, who is extremely unathletic.
He didn't play.
I understand, but they didn't really have. I think they had 6 or 7 total players, 2 of which were walk-ons, in Marvin Coleman
and Abake Jonga was in foul
Blair.
trouble the whole game.
Right, and they gave up 23 fouls. Boise State was 22 of 29 from the free throw line. R.J. Williams had 23. Jessup played fine. Austin played okay. Bryce Hamilton had 24 and 6. But it just came down to, they actually held Boise State to 3 of 15 from 3. They played well defensively. They committed way too many fouls. And Boise State won the line at the free throw line, or won the game at the free throw line, and UNLV lost the game at the free throw line, in my personal opinion. As far as the season itself, I think they should be an NIT team. That win in San Diego over an undefeated San Diego State team is the best road win in college basketball, in my personal opinion. But if they don't make the NIT, fine. I can respect the fact that they don't want to go to the CBI for expense reasons. But TJ Otzelberger had a very, very good first year, in my opinion, considering what he had. And now that he's bringing back, David Jenkins, Amari Hardy, Bryce Hamilton, Donnie Tillman, Mbaki Jong, Jonah Antonio. Marvin Coleman, pretty much everybody is back. And they bring in 8 freshmen next year, 4 of which are relatively decently ranked, Rivals 100, Rivals 150 type of guys. I think UNLV has a chance to win the Mountain West next year. And I believe if one of these recruits pans out, or if David Jenkins, if the hype on him kind of increases, or if a lot of different guys go pro, UNLV could be a top 25 preseason college basketball team next year.
I don't think I agree with what you said when you said they should compete for a title and they could be the favorite to win it all next year. I agree with that. I don't agree with what you said when you think they'll be a preseason top 25. There's no chance that they're going to be a preseason top 25. Now, if they get some big wins, I think they're in the Maui tournament next year, if I'm not mistaken. You get some big wins in that tournament, we're going to know real quickly how good this team is. But I do agree with you. They have to be one of the favorites next year, assuming everybody comes back. I saw a few people tweeting yesterday, a couple of Nimrods, saying that Amari Hardy was going to transfer. There's no evidence to back that up. And speaking of Amari Hardy, we had a chance to catch up with him after the game yesterday. I had a chance to talk with him. Keep in mind, this is literally 5 minutes after the game. So obviously, I'm not speaking to a very happy Amari Hardy. They should be disappointed, and they were. You could see the disappointment on his face, and you could hear it in his voice. But I had a chance to catch up with Amari because he had, listen, let's just call it for what it is. I don't want to trash the kid at all. I like Amari Hardy. He just had a bad game yesterday. He really was bad yesterday, and they needed his offense, and he struggled mightily. Even a couple minutes left to go in the game when they needed his free throws, he put up an air ball at the free throw line. This is Amari Hardy we're talking about. An air ball at the free throw line. That's hard to do. Amari just was not engaged and did not have a good game. But I had a chance to catch up with him moments after the loss, Boise State yesterday. Here's that interview.
All right, we were with Amari Hardy. Amari obviously disappointed, I would imagine. Tough shooting night for you. Would you say more Boise's defense and their tenacity, or just a bad shooting night for you?
I would just say just a bad night. One of my best games, unfortunately. I take it all upon myself. It was just me. It wasn't nothing that they was doing necessarily. Yeah.
What was the difference? They come in here a few weeks ago. You guys manhandled them on this court. What was the difference tonight?
Man, it's just a win or go home situation. They probably came in here with a different fire versus when they played this. Here probably just took it as just another game. You know, the season won't be over. So that's what I feel like that might have been a difference maker for them.
Is it fair to say first month of the season you guys struggled, then coach, holds you guys accountable, right? There were a couple games you didn't even start. Then the season, it seemed like to me anyway, turned around. Just talk a little bit about the season as a whole, your thoughts from beginning to end.
I feel like, from top to bottom, each and every player, we had our fair share of ups and downs.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, at the start of the season, we didn't start so good. I feel like in the middle, we picked it up just a little bit, then took a little dip, then we finished off pretty strong. I feel like, those ups and downs that we had in the season, the adversity that we seen brought us together towards the end and wanted to finish strong. And, just unfortunately, we weren't able to survive and advance tonight.
Talk a little bit, and I know this might be difficult now, but about next year. There's a lot of excitement now, certainly more around the program now maybe than there was a year ago, right? Obviously, you've got a pretty good two-guard that's going to be available with you next year, and a lot of people are saying you guys might have the best backcourt in the Mountain West. Can you just talk a little bit about, expectations for next year and your excitement for next season?
Expectations next year will be to win. Nonetheless, got some great guys coming in. Looking forward to playing with these guys and just enjoying the experience. Because it can all end so quick, so you can't take none days for granted. And days like this, you hate to see it.
Last question for you. How would you grade this season? Good, decent, average? I know it's tough after a loss, but you guys did a lot of good things this year, especially that win on the road against San Diego State. I think they were saying one of the biggest wins on the road in over a decade. So talk a little bit about the season as a whole and how would you grade it?
I would definitely say this was a good season for us. Nobody expected us to finish the way we did. Nobody expected us to do a lot of things that we did. Under Coach TJ in his first year, I think we did some amazing things. We had a lot of new guys that came in, had some transfers. People probably didn't expect us to gel that well.
Mm-hmm.
Had guys role changes, guys had to step up.
Sure.
And I would call it a good season. Nonetheless, make it to the tournament, that would be considered a great season. But of course, a good season, I would call it though.
Right. Amari, thanks for your time.
Yeah.
All right, there you go. That was Amari Hardy after the loss to Boise State. It's been a while since I said this. It's probably been close to a decade. But I think this was the first team that I saw. And listen, I'm not going to sit here and say it was a magical season or even a great season because I don't think it was. When you're 17-15 and you're UNLV, no matter what the circumstances are, that's not a great season. However, with that being said, this was TJ Otzelberger's first year, and I did think the coaching staff did a good job, and the future looks bright. So that is the positives. But with that being said, like I alluded to, this is something I haven't said in about a decade, and that is this team got better. From the beginning of the year to the end of the year, there's no question the coaching staff did a good job, and this team got better. I could not find you one season under Dave Rice or Marvin Menzies where I could look you in the eye or go on the radio and say, this team got better from the start of the season to the end of the season. Guess what that is, folks? Guess what we call that? We call that coaching. And I don't want to, harp on some of these past coaches. But Dave Rice and Marvin Menzies, there's a reason why they were both fired or let go or resigned or whatever the hell you want to call it. They did not coach. They didn't make these guys better. TJ and his staff made these players better basketball players from the start to the end of the year. Long was a guy that averaged 3 or 4 points over there at Texas last year, and he was scoring 17 points a game in a stretch of his last 5 games. I will say Amari Hardy, perhaps did not get better over the course of the year. He struggled.
And he's actually he's an overrated athlete. He's not as good of an athlete as people give him credit for.
But Hamilton really improved. He flourished under TJ Otzelberger's
I don't think
offense.
there was a player in college basketball who improved more than Bryce Hamilton did over the course of the season.
And Jonah Antonio got better defensively. I think he's a better defensive player now than he was at the beginning of the year. The point I'm trying to make is this. They have a walk-on that is their starting point guard.
No, Brian, they actually played 76 minutes were played by walk-ons yesterday between Josh Green, Nick Blair, and Marvin Coleman. So considering the fact that TJ Otzelberger only had 5 scholarship players to actually play with in this game, and over the course of the year, a lot of games he played with 2 walk-ons, sometimes 3 walk-ons because of injuries and just because of the fact that Marvin Menzies kind of left the cupboard bare. I think TJ Otzelberger did an outstanding job considering the talent that he actually had afforded to him over the course of the season. And you're right, they did get better, and they did respect their coach, because T.J. Ottsberger is a basketball coach, which UNLV has not had, in my opinion, since Lon Kruger.
Here's why I'm not using the word outstanding. The Mountain West, hold on, let me just give you my answer before you jump in. The Mountain West sucks. It is an awful basketball conference, okay? You have Wyoming now. All due respect to Wyoming. You have Wyoming in the semifinals of the Mountain West Conference Tournament, a team that only won a couple games in conference all year. They knocked off Colorado State, which was an embarrassment to Colorado State. I think they're an embarrassment altogether, but I guess that's another story for another show. And then yesterday, I know this is going to make UNLV fans very, very happy. They knocked off Steve Alford and the University of Nevada, Reno. Wyoming did that. That's how bad this conference is. It's really bad, JD. Okay, yes, the win on the road against San Diego State was one of probably the best win on the road UNLV has had in over a decade. But this is a bad conference, JD, and their record is 17-15. I gave Coach Otzelberger, I give him and his staff accolades that they deserve. They did do a good job. I wouldn't say it was outstanding. It would have been outstanding if they got into the NIT tournament. I think that was very possible. They were put in a position to do that. If they beat Boise State, I think that could have been a part of the conversation. The NIT might have chosen them, but it's not going to happen now. So I'm not going to use the word outstanding. I'm not going to get crazy here. They did a good job. It was a decent year one. Very positive looking forward. I look forward to next year. They're going to be a really fun team to cover next year. We're going to see what TJ could do with the amount of talent that he has, which is going to be plenty. He's going to have the talent next year. You can't make any excuses next year. They have the talent to perhaps, possibly be a top 25 team. They have the talent to win the Mountain West Conference next year. I don't think Nevada's going to be great. I don't think Nevada's going to be very good. I don't think Wyoming's going to be very good. I don't think Air Force is going to be very good. I don't think Boise State's going to be very good. You can make the argument San Diego State, some of those guys are coming back. They're going to be pretty good. Utah State, they're not going to be very good. They're losing their top two players. What team is going to compete with UNLV next year? I'm struggling to think about that. Next year, UNLV has to be the favorite to win the Mountain West Conference. I think Nevada is going to be decent next year, but there is no excuses next year. The excitement is now back around the program for next year. I think that's fair. I think it should be.
And you're going to see, because of T.J. Otzelberger's personnel that he's going to have next year that he hasn't had this year, you're going to see an exciting brand of basketball. This team is going to score consistently 75 to 90 points from day one, from the first game next year.
Well, I hope you're right. I'll believe it when I see it, because we heard the same thing when Dave Rice was hired. It was going to be the let's running Rebels. It was the let's not score points running Rebels.
Look at South Dakota State, where TJ coached for X amount of years. Those teams played an up-tempo, fast-paced brand of basketball, and that was David Jenkins. He led the country in three-point percentage.
He's a great shooter.
He's coming next year, along with, again, Bryce Hamilton, Amari Hardy, Chuck Mbaki Jong, Donnie Tillman, Jonah Antonio, Marvin Coleman, plus all the freshmen. They're going to go 12. They could possibly go 10 to 12 deep next year and not have them be walk-ons, except Marvin Coleman, who I believe will be a scholarship player probably in the next couple of months.
Well, listen, if this was T.J. Otzelberger's third or fourth year, I wouldn't say it was a good year. I would say it was a below-average year. But the fact that
I wouldn't say that either.
Right, but the fact that this is year one and he didn't have a ton of time to recruit, and it's a new system for all the players and everything, yeah, I agree. I think he did a good job. Thought the staff did a good job. Yesterday was a really, really tough loss. That really could have put them over the hump as far as the season was concerned. It's not that I'm saying that Boise State is the number 250th ranked team in the country. They're not an awful team, but that was a game that UNLV really need to get.
Were they really going to win this game when you have three walk-ons playing a collective 76 minutes, and the other team basically has two starting fives? I mean, Boise State goes 9 deep, and they have all year long. UNLV in this game, Vitaly Scheibel, who just is not capable.
He wasn't
of playing.
a factor. They didn't play.
Right. Marvin Coleman, Nick Blair, Jong.
Listen, Jong
Antonio,
got the guys
Hamilton,
down low.
Hardy.
The guys down low got absolutely manhandled by R.J. Williams. And Jong got in foul trouble early. He actually fouled out of the game. That was a big factor also. He never was comfortable in this game. I think he only scored 1 or 2 points. He never was comfortable in this game. I think he needed a little bit more from Jong underneath the basket. He had a rough game. Amari Hardy had a rough game, and Long obviously wasn't suited up or playing. Tillman didn't get in the game. So, yes, the odds, no question, were stacked against UNLV, but when you look at the actual stats of the game and you say to yourself, if UNLV could just make some free throws, maybe they're able to squeak out a win in that game. They were in it the entire game. They just missed free throws down the stretch, and that was the difference maker, really. R.J. Williams on Boise State was the difference maker, and the fact that UNLV did not make free throws killed them down the stretch. And these types of games killed them. So if you're thinking about going to the Mountain West Conference tournament tonight, as I mentioned, Utah State is going to be in action against Wyoming. That is a surprise game. The first game is going to be San Diego State, and Boise State. I think San Diego State, if you want to know what I think is going to happen here, I'm taking the chalk. San Diego State's going to have no problem with Boise State. And I do believe that although Wyoming has had a heck of a run here the last couple days, I think it ends tonight against Utah State. The finals is going to be what everybody wants to see. That is San Diego State and Utah State. And I think in the end, it's going to be San Diego State that is going to win the trophy and win the Mountain West Conference tournament. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk with the Aviators president, Don Logan, Major League Baseball in Las Vegas this weekend. Don Logan coming up next. This is the Vegas Take.
Thinking about life insurance? What if you could make one free phone call and learn your best price from nearly a dozen highly rated, price-competitive companies? Well, that's exactly what happens when you call SelectQuote Life. For example, George is 40. He was getting sky-high quotes from other companies because he takes meds to control his blood pressure. But when I shopped around, I found him a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $25 a month. I'm SelectQuote agent Dan Savino, and believe me, if SelectQuote isn't shopping for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 800-244-6060. That's 800-244-6060. 800-244-6060. Or go to SelectQuote.com. Since 1985, we shop, you save.
Get full details on the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Or price could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
A congressional committee investigating Boeing reports today a culture of concealment at the company and poor oversight by the federal government contributed to the two deadly crashes involving the now grounded plane, the 737 MAX. President Trump is touring the mid-Tennessee areas where dozens of buildings were destroyed and 24 killed by extremely powerful tornadoes this week. He is also visiting the CDC after earlier canceling the trip.
They thought there was a problem at CDC with somebody that had the virus. It turned out negative, so we're seeing if we can do it. But yesterday afternoon, we were informed that there may have been a person with the virus, and they now find out that that was a negative test. They've tested the person very fully, and it was a negative test. So I may be going. We're going to see if they can turn it around.
The trip is now on, and the Dow is off. The Dow is down 660. I'm Mike Moss.
Thinking about...
It's time to check the roads.
From the Lahren Road Traffic Studio.
This report sponsored by Canada Dry Ginger Ale at Crash I-15 southbound at Flamingo. Vehicles remain off to the right. Meanwhile, the recovery from the rush hour is underway. The slowing pattern I-15 still there, but it's lighter. Delays are only from Charleston to Tropicana, and it's a lighter pattern. Also, a crash reported on Cheyenne Avenue eastbound east of I-15 with injuries sustained. Police and fire at the scene. Traffic's the worst, so grab a can of Canada Dry Ginger Ale and imagine instead you're gently floating through the cosmos on a soft, comfy recliner. Next time, relax with the real ginger taste of Canada Dry. John Michaels from the KDON Traffic Center.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit beefy, or even with type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Affordable term life insurance is out there. Call Term Provider and speak with Big Lou at 800-481-1458. 800-481-1458 or visit biglou.com. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds, too.
Travis Scribner, managing partner of Westpac Wealth Partners, interviews some of the most successful business owners for insight into what makes both them and their business run. Tune in every Saturday morning at 8 a.m. on 101.5 FM, 720 a.m. KDON, or podcasts on iTunes. Join Coach Harvey Hyde and Chuck Hayes Saturday evenings from 9 to 10 p.m. for Trojan Football Report, presented by South Point Hotel and Casino, here on 101.5 FM and 720 a.m. KDWN, where Las Vegas comes to talk.
Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 a.m. KDON.
All right, welcome welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. So glad you could join us. I mentioned some of the sports activities, everything that's going on here this week and what took place last week. Right now, we have the Mountain West Conference Tournament in full swing. The semifinals are tonight at the Thomas Mack Center. We have the West Coast Conference Tournament. Some teams in action tonight. I believe San Francisco is playing tonight. That's at the Orleans. And then, of course, Gonzaga, BYU, St. Mary's. This is a great conference and a great tournament. It's actually my favorite tournament of the year to watch because I like the environment there at the Orleans. Then next week at the Orleans, the WAC comes to town. So we're going to watch that. I always like to watch Dan Marley on the sidelines as the head coach of Grand Canyon. And we'll have the Pac-12 at the T-Mobile Arena. Last weekend, up there in Summerlin at the beautiful ballpark, we had the Indians and the Oakland A's playing in that place where the Aviators play. And then this weekend, Big League Weekend continues. It is with the Chicago Cubs, fan favorites here in Las Vegas, and the Cincinnati Reds. So this is awesome. What better place to watch these games than this beautiful new ballpark in Summerlin? And the man who joins us on the line right now is the president of the Aviators. Always love to have him on. That would be Don Logan. Don, thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Doing great.
Doing great, Don.
Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. I guess my first question to you is, have you had a chance to talk with some of these major league players? I would imagine last week the Indians and the A's. What were some of their thoughts on this place that they were playing in? I mean, because I would imagine some of them, probably all of them, have never seen this ballpark before. What were they telling you?
Well, I mean, a lot of them actually had played for or against us at Cashman Field. A lot of the coaches and even, a lot of the players. And just, astounded. Sandy Alomar was, he was here managing the Indians. And, Sandy played at Cashman. He was probably the best player we've ever had. He had back-to-back minor league player of the year seasons in 88 and 89. And he walked in, and I can't tell you exactly what he said, but it was, and then, he was on the visiting side locker room, and then I took him over to the home side, and he told me that there's not 5 places like that in all of baseball, which there isn't. That was the intent.
This is your place to play. When you have a guy like an Alomar and some of these major league players come up to you and are thrilled, at this place where they're playing, I mean, that's got to feel pretty good for you and your organization.
Oh, absolutely. It's one of the things we waited a long time. It was obvious going back into the late 90s that Cashman was great from a lot of perspectives. It was always safe and it was always clean. The part of town where it's located really started to deteriorate, and it got difficult. It didn't have amenities, the things you couldn't fix without just knocking it down and starting over. And that, the LVCVA was a fantastic landlord, and they went from being a landlord to being a naming rights partner, which was it saved them a lot of money and got the fans of Southern Nevada the type of place they deserve to watch baseball. And it was, we waited a long time to get it done, but in doing so, we got to really. There was a lot of new ballparks built around the country. We got to visit them all. We got to, I went to games in all of them and talked to the people, that ran the clubs, both major league and minor league, and really, we've got elements, the best of the best. And again, now that's my opinion. So
no, I agree. Listen, Don,
I think it's the best of the best. But again, I've been doing this a long time. So
I've been in Vegas for 20 years, Don. You're 100% right with what you're saying. He's Don Logan, the Aviators president. Let's talk a little bit just outside the ballpark, for that matter. From a minor league perspective, it's not often that you get to stay in luxurious hotels, and I would call Red Rock exactly that. I would imagine a lot of the away teams that come into town are just absolutely flabbergasted, and they enjoy the fact that many of them get to stay at Red Rock Casino. I will also say downtown Summerlin is beautiful. You get to walk outside the ballpark, and you get to go to all these shops, and it's safe. Listen, you couldn't do that in years past, really, because that area outside the stadium, I would say, not exactly was the safest. It was safe in the stadium.
You wouldn't want to walk through there, no.
Right, exactly. So talk a little bit about that. I mean, you got Red Rock Casino, which is right there in downtown Summerlin.
Well, and Red Rock, the Fertittas and Red Rock, they're one of our founding partners. They bought a suite. They've been, from a promotional perspective, you couldn't have a better partner. From just a geographical perspective, the place is right here. It's a 5-star, whatever the most stars you can give. I don't even know what the hell it is, but
right.
I've heard that it's the best setup in all of baseball in terms of quality of hotel, different types of restaurants. I mean, these guys, if you think about it, they're over here by 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and they don't get out of here till usually an hour after the game.
Mm-hmm.
Some guys work out even sometimes after the game. So we're in Vegas, so they can go back over there at midnight, get something to eat. If they want to go roll the bones or play some cards, or if they want to go to the nightclub, have a drink, listen to some music, it's all right there.
No question.
They go to bed. These guys don't get up early. I mean, it's a different lifestyle when you're a pro athlete, but it's the best setup in baseball, and the Red Rock is a big part of that. And then you throw downtown Summerlin into the mix, you got more options right there. You got places, they'll need to go to the Apple store at some point during their stay here to pick up something or to talk to one of the folks. But couldn't be better. I mean, the Howard Hughes Corporation deserves a ton of credit for that. We talked them into doing it here and convinced them that this was going to be a great amenity, and obviously it has worked out that way.
No question. We're talking to Don Logan, the president of the Aviators. Of course, we have the Cincinnati Reds and the Chicago Cubs that are playing at 1 p.m. this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. It looks like it's going to be beautiful weather. I want to ask you a few questions about the Aviators. As the president, let me ask you this. In years past, you were not able to bet on AAA baseball, but, I went to some games last year, and I was talking to some patrons that actually bet on your game. So I wanted to get your thoughts on that. Do you think it's dangerous to be placing wagers, gambling involved with AAA baseball, or are you completely comfortable with that? What are your thoughts on that people can actually now bet on your games?
Well, I'm a fourth generation of that, so I understand. Well, hopefully. I understand that I'm a terrible bettor. They call me the cooler around here. But,
you and me have something in common, Don.
I understand how gaming works. And, those old the fears that go back to the Black Sox, I mean, that's like the 1920s. That it is incredibly strictly regulated. I mean, gaming is, you can't, there's no funny business goes on in gaming. The Gaming Control Board, the Gaming Commission, that's one of the reasons Vegas is what it is because we're a legitimate, it's a legitimate business, and all that goes with it is very well. It's just the notion that somebody's going to be able to influence the outcome by coming up and handing these guys a couple $100. I mean, they've all signed for certainly all of them 6 figures, many of them 7 figures. So they've got money in the bank. The major league minimum salary is over $600,000. You're not going to get it. Anybody's going to be able to go, and there's a limit on what they can bet on our games. So there's just no way that you're going to have some nefarious activity come about. And it's all, and again, all those of us that live in Nevada and understand how it works get it. And I think it's fun. I can tell you that a lot of our fans, a lot of my friends love to come to the ballpark, and they stop at Red Rock on the way over and make a wager and come check it out. And that's great. I mean, that's the whole idea, is to create, there's another reason to come out to the ballpark, and it's not a bad thing. It had a stigma about it for so long because people, in the ivory towers back east, particularly in the commissioner's office, just didn't get it, and they're coming around.
And by the way, let me just say for the record, I agree with you 150%. There's nothing better than going to your ballpark, watching some baseball, throw a few bucks on a game just for fun, make the game even more interesting. And
play the over, man. That's what they tell me out here. Is everybody's playing the over.
Play the overs. That's right, especially in spring training, by the way. I want to ask you a little bit about, obviously you've talked about this before. I would imagine you've talked to a lot of people about this, the possibility of getting a major league ball club in Las Vegas. I personally believe, Don, the fact that you have this beautiful place now to play with your organization, the steps that you guys have made, it's going to help eventually bring a Major League Baseball team to Las Vegas. I know this might be a hard question for you to answer. Based on the facilities you have, the fact that the Knights have been so successful, the fact that we have the NFL in just months coming to Las Vegas, a lot of people say it's just a matter of time before we get the NBA and Major League Baseball. How do you see this thing panning out?
Well, again, I've been talked to and have talked about this for 20 years now. And one of the things I said, I remember vividly saying it back in the early 2000s, is the first major league team in wins, meaning that the first major league franchise to plant a flag here is going to have it's going to nail the market, and the Knights certainly did that. And I liken it to what the Suns did in Phoenix. I mean, you look at, they were there. The similar markets were probably 30 years behind them in terms of size and development. But the Suns got there, and they can be lousy, and typically are lately. But people go to the games, and now all four sports are down there. I do think it has to be done thoughtfully. It's got to be done with some real, I mean, there's data there's a way to analyze the elements of what you need to do, and I think the most important thing is you got to locate the stadium in the right spot. Do I think it's not a matter of if, it's when, but you got to have the stadium properly located. Baseball's different, I mean, you couldn't do a baseball stadium where Allegiant Stadium is. The parking problems, the parking situation they have there. We've got 81 major league games would be played. You can't expect people to deal with that 81 times. 8 times, no problem. 81, no chance. Even the T-Mobile situation to get in and out. Ingress and egress is incredibly important to getting people to sporting events. So where you put a baseball stadium is critical because of that, and because of the number of games we play.
Sure.
I think obviously you got to address the heat. Heat's perception, I think, a lot of times more so than reality. I mean, we played New Orleans last year in July, and I don't think I've ever been that miserable. I mean, the guys, bats are flying out of hitters' hands because they're sweating so much. Pitchers are throwing it to the backside. I mean, it was like, it had rained. It was 100 degrees, and it was a 90% humidity. But, it's going to happen here. It's just got to be done thoughtfully in terms of where you put it. I think the fact that we have 45 million visitors coming here play, you go to the Knights games. I mean, they're still trying to figure out how to keep the visiting team fans out of there, and it's not going to happen.
No,
Raiders are going to be the same, but more than half the people that have bought tickets for the Raiders are from out of the market.
No question.
But that's what we are. That's good for the town. That's good for the casino business. It's good for the hotel business. It's good for the restaurants. It's good for the shows. That's exactly why you want Major League Sports. And we play in series. That's one of the other things with baseball. You can come here and you're going to get 3 games, sometimes even 4. But the visiting team's fan base is going to be a factor. So you take the 2 million people that live here, the 45 million people visiting. We got 150,000 hotel rooms. It's why the NFL draft's coming here. I mean, we're a sports town. And on top of that, we're a baseball town. Number one, just look around how many players are playing Major League and minor league baseball from here.
Oh yeah, no question. By the way, you mentioned the heat. That's another thing I want to commend about your ballpark is the seats are extremely comfortable. There's a lot of shade there, and that's not by accident. That's on purpose. I think that's a great job what you guys did with the design of this ballpark. I want to ask you one more question. Obviously, I want to promote Big League Weekend. We've got the Cincinnati Reds and the Chicago Cubs, fan favorites here in Las Vegas, I must say, along with the Oakland A's, of course. And my understanding is both games are sold out. Can you talk to us a little bit about this Big League Weekend, maybe some of the pitching matchups? I think they announced some of them already, and just kind of preview what we're going to see starting tomorrow.
Well, the game, we've got some tickets left for Sunday. Honestly, Saturday, for our games, we'll sell, a couple thousand standing room, like 2,500 standing rooms. I don't think that's fair for these games. It's a major league game. The ticket prices for the people that have bought seats is, it's higher than normal. I mean, that's one of the bad sides about being up here, by the way, is when we were at Cashman, I could pour mouth these teams and they'd come here for a lot less money, and the word got out. So this is, it's incredibly expensive. I'm still kind of shaken by how much this is costing, but I think we're pretty much done on Saturday.
Is Chris Bryant playing, Don?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, so he'll be in the lineup both days.
Chris and Rizzo.
Oh, that's awesome.
And that's one of the other things. This is early in spring training, so you've got guys that aren't 100% physically.
Right.
So that's one of the things. You really, they're not sure who's coming, but I think one of the things that you're going to see, again, and people may not realize this, but the Cubs are going to start a kid named Colin Ray on Sunday. he was the pitcher of the year in minor league baseball in our league last year.
Oh wow!
Pitched against us. Pitched in the big leagues briefly. He's, everybody's worried about the Cubs pitching. Well, come out Sunday and check this kid out. He's legit.
I know I'll be there. I'll be there to see this kid. Yep.
So there's good young pitching. T.J. Antone for the Reds. Alec Mills is a Cubs guy. Another up and coming young guy. Gutierrez again. It's young pitching. The game today, as you know, is really predicated on your bullpen. I don't know. I think what they say, I saw a stat the other day that there was 30. Some team had 30 complete games last year, and at one point, in the Mets in '69 with Seaver and Ryan and Kuzma and all those guys, they had I think 90 complete games. It's crazy the way it's changed.
Well, I gotta tell you something, Don. This is going to be a lot of fun this weekend, and it was fun. It was fun last weekend. You guys have a grade A class act organization. Jim Gem is one of the nicest guys, and he's so good at what he does. I want to commend him as well.
He's all fired up too because the Lakers are good again. You got to give Jimmy a shout. He loves his Lakers.
Right,
I know he's fired up.
All right, I'll vouch for Jim. You got to give him a big raise. I had to say that. Now, Jim's a great guy. He's one of the best in the business, and we love him. Don, thank you so much for taking some time to join us. Can't tell you how much I've been looking forward to this weekend. Have a great time out there. We'll see you out there, Don. Thank you again.
Appreciate the time. Take care, guys.
All right, you too.
Thanks a lot, Don.
That is Don Logan, the Aviators president. Really knowledgeable too when it comes to Major League Baseball. That's for sure. And these rosters and stuff. Very active president. All right, so we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, it is time for the news with John Schaefer. Take a quick break. Be back right after this. You're listening to the Vegas Take right here on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, K-Dawn.
Wheel of Fortune slots make more millionaires more often. Will you be next? Play Wheel of Fortune at your favorite casino today.
Wheel of Fortune is a registered trademark of Caliphone Production Incorporated. All rights reserved.
Attention all authors. Page Publishing is looking for authors. Have you written a book and want to get it published? Page Publishing will get your book into bookstores and for sale online at Amazon, Apple iTunes, and other outlets. They handle all aspects of the publishing process for you. Printing, cover art, publicity, copyright, and editing. Call 800-501-3689 now for your free author submission kit. That's 800-501-3689 for your free author submission kit. Again, 800-501-3689.
This station is conducting a weekly test of the Southern Nevada, Inyo County, California Operational Area Emergency Alert System. This is only a test.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Imagine crossing a street busy with traffic. Against the light.
Watch where you're going.
Wearing a blindfold. Would you do this? Probably not. It's one risk obviously not worth taking. Some risks aren't as obvious, yet could be just as deadly, like the risk for type 2 diabetes. If you're overweight or over 45, if you're not very active, or don't eat as healthy as you should, there's an easy test you can take to find out your risk. It's free, and in less than a minute, you'll know if you're at risk for this deadly disease. Just go to diabetes.org/take-the-test or call 1-800-DIABETES. Because type 2 diabetes is one risk you can't afford to take. Take the diabetes risk test and stop diabetes before it stops you. A message from the American Diabetes Association.
When a counselor asked how much my husband drinks, I said, not that much.
I don't know why I said that. He always drank too much. But I guess I'm so used to keeping it a secret that I didn't tell the truth to myself.
Your home for Sean Hannity. KDWN Las Vegas, KKLZ HD2 Las Vegas, a Beasley Media Group station. Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 1015 FM, 720 AM, KDON.
Welcome back. It is the Vegas Take. Sharp and Shapiro, so glad you could join us on a Friday. And, you know, a lot of stuff to get to, a lot of stuff to talk about. Again, we're going to go into the Aaron Schock story. It might be a shock to some of you. Ha, ha, ha. Do you see how I did that, JD?
Yeah, I picked up on that.
Very original. But he is John Schaefer, and he is doing the news for us. John, what is going on?
Well, you'll be shocked by this, but the Clark County School District has canceled all out-of-state and international travel for students. The announcement made in an email to faculty and parents. According to the district, the cancellation was made out of an abundance of caution. It said the policy was placed into effect immediately. District administrators will work with schools to determine potential options for rescheduling.
That's not a surprise, right? But that's going to be happening in a lot of places very soon. Yep.
3 Las Vegas family members among thousands of passengers confined to a cruise ship quarantined off the California coast. Ron Greibel, a Summerlin resident who, along with his wife Sandra and daughter Susan, boarded the Grand Princess on February 21st for a trip to Hawaii. Thursday, the ship's captain announced over the PA system that starting after lunch, passengers would be confined to their rooms for the remainder of the cruise. Greibel said that he and his wife and daughter were all healthy as of yesterday.
The Grand Princess, soon to be called the Grand Coronavirus. I'm just waiting for them to change the name on that
Yeah,
one. Go ahead.
3,500 passengers, and they tested 45 of them.
Yeah, that's smart.
Larry Flint's Hustler Club is not closing up shop as fears mount over the spread of coronavirus. Instead, it's educating customers on cleaning up their act pre-lap dance. The Las Vegas Strip Club actually has a PSA to remind its patrons about the best coronavirus defense, simply washing your hands. Hustler is hammering home the point with an assist from some of its dancers. It is catchy, the video that is, but the Surgeon General would not approve of the face mask use, not due to the boobs, but because they actually don't protect you.
By the way, John, that story actually made TMZ yesterday.
Yes.
A couple stories in Las Vegas made TMZ, and that was one of them.
That and Michelle Obama getting a lap dance. Speaking of lap dances.
I saw that. Did you hear about that, JD?
No, I did not.
Michelle Obama was she was seeing
Christina Aguilera.
Christina Aguilera. And I guess there was an attractive man, a part of the show that was next to her. And Michelle Obama, she's got a little freakiness to her. She was pretending to spank him on the ass. And I'm like, you go, Michelle. You go. I wonder if Barack would be okay with that. But that made TMZ. The top 2 stories yesterday were Las Vegas stories.
Do you think that Barack would be okay with that, Brian?
Absolutely. Barack seems to be very secure, unlike somebody else, the Orange Man.
But Donald Trump would not be okay with that.
No, I just have a feeling that he would not be okay with Melania
Mike
doing that.
Pence wouldn't even allow Michelle Obama in the same room.
Yeah, a discussion wouldn't even happen.
Or the same building.
I'm so glad you brought up Mike Pence because he's going to be a little bit of a topic in hour number 2.
Oh,
yeah,
gotcha.
yeah. Thank you. I like that. John, go ahead.
A New Mexico woman is facing a larceny charge after authorities say she stole a neighbor's anatomic skeleton model that allegedly was making an offensive gesture toward her. Diana Hogrieb was charged with 1 count of larceny in connection with the skeleton heist. She told Santa Fe County Sheriff's deputies she was offended by the way the skeleton's hand was posed with the middle finger pointed up. The woman said the episode was the culmination of months-long feud between her and her neighbor, who she said has harassed her family and other residents.
Is this for real?
This is for real. I would not bring you fake news.
The skeleton. So somebody had to put that skeleton in that position.
Yeah, the neighbor
right?
posed the skeleton facing her house, giving her the finger.
They had a 6-month feud, clearly, back and forth. A number of things had taken place, and the final straw was the neighbor making sure that whenever the other neighbor drives by, that there's always a middle finger pointed at that person.
Well,
and the neighbor said, "No,
JD gets it.
I totally get it." And actually, I don't think that she should be charged for theft for this. She was offended by it, and she was maybe it affected her bottom line, maybe it affected her emotions, maybe it affected her in a lot of different ways. I think she made the right move.
Well, I think it's a dead issue now. I'm sorry, but I'm bummed. That was horrible.
Great.
But no, seriously. So what's next? You're just going to go into a gravesite and just take a dead body? That's okay too? You can't do that. It's against the law. You can't steal something.
It wasn't a real skeleton.
I know, but I'm just saying.
It's a plastic fake skeleton.
I'm just trying to create controversy,
Right,
John. Just
yeah.
go with it, okay?
All
I'm just trying to create some
You're being
controversy.
very contrarian right now.
So what do you think of these grave sites, speaking of skeletons, where some of these people, as a joke, are taking these Halloween skeletons and pretending like it's a... There are actually some family members that are doing that to some grave sites, and apparently it's okay with the people who run these. It's legal. I wouldn't want somebody to do that to one of my loved ones. That's ridiculous. They're making a mockery of the fact that there is a dead body. I don't know. It's just a little weird to me. Have you seen that the bodies exhibit, by the way? Speaking of dead bodies.
Yes, I have.
What do you
made
think
the
of
mistake
that?
of going before dinner.
What do you? It's kind of disgusting.
It was gross.
It really is,
Yeah.
isn't it? These were people at one point.
Yes.
And now they're in these positions of football players and basketball players, and they're dead.
And
these are people.
Yeah,
You
and
can
their
see their
parts are
eyebrows.
out. Exactly.
Yeah, you can see parts of their genitalia.
Gross.
It's gross. It is disgusting. What do they use
And
to
their insides?
Yeah, it's gross. What do they? You don't want to see my insides. Trust me. You don't want to see that. A lot of bacon, a lot of fat, and a lot of other. Yeah, you don't want to see that with me. Trust me.
Mountain Dew.
I wonder what position they would put me in. What do you think?
Probably a handstand.
You think so? Yeah, probably. I think JD would be like one of those football players. He'd be in a football position, or he'd have some notes in front of him on some spreads on handicapping some games. John, you'd have a microphone in front of you. I think that's pretty much the way it would go down. All right, Mr. Schaefer, what do you got going on this weekend before we let you go?
Yeah, nothing.
Oh, that
The
sounds
big
fun.
nothing.
That sounds fun. Well, that's very
We
exciting.
live somewhere where there's nothing to do, so I have nothing going on.
Yeah, there's nothing to do in Las Vegas. Not like we have Major League Baseball or college basketball. Not like there's any shows on the Strip or anything like that. Or the Vegas Golden Knights playing this weekend, by the way?
They play tonight, but they're on the road. Winnipeg.
Winnipeg. The
5
Winnipeg
o'clock.
Jets.
Yes.
Paul Maurice, the former coach of the Hartford Whalers, now the Winnipeg Jets coach. All right, Mr. Schaefer, have a good weekend doing nothing. We wish you luck with that. We are going to take a break, and when we come back, a Republican congressman coming out as gay. We'll get to that coming up next. This is the Vegas Take.
Handcuffed without tests. Rare optimistic note. I'm Mike Moss. The CDC's Dr. Jay Butler says the coronavirus outbreak is on track to be the most serious world health problem since the 1918 Spanish flu outbreak. Testing will be key to understanding just
It's
how
time
much
to
the
check the
virus is
roads
spread in the U.S. Butler hopes more test kits are available soon.
69 laboratories in 46 states now have the capacity to do the testing themselves. These are labs that are already online and that have the equipment and are sort of pre-approved to be able to do this type of testing.
Republican Senator Bill Cassidy, who's also a medical doctor, says some areas of the country may be in for a difficult time.
The number will absolutely increase, and it depends on where you live. If you're in Shreveport, Louisiana, your risk right now is extremely low. If you're in Seattle, it is higher. And there is some mathematical modeling suggesting that Washington State could have some problems.
Some hope today from Dr. Michael Ryan with the World Health Organization.
Here we have a disease for which we have no vaccine, no treatment. We don't fully understand transmission. We don't fully understand case fatality. But what we have been genuinely heartened by is that unlike influenza, where countries have fought back, where they've put in place strong measures, we've remarkably seen that the virus is suppressed.
A House investigation has found Boeing 737 MAX was marred by technical problems, a lack of transparency, and other issues. 2 crashes killed 346. President Trump is getting a first-hand look at the devastation caused this week by a series of powerful tornadoes that crushed the Nashville, Tennessee area, killing at least 24. On Wall Street, the Dow was down 519 at this hour. I'm Mike Moss.
Can a tree change a life? At Trees for the Future.
This report sponsored by Canada Dry Ginger Ale at Crash I-15 southbound at Flamingo. Vehicles remain off to the right. Meanwhile, the recovery from the rush hour is underway. The slowing pattern I-15 still there, but it's lighter. Delays are only from Charleston to Tropicana, and it's a lighter pattern. Also, a crash reported on Cheyenne Avenue eastbound east of I-15 with injuries sustained. Police and fire at the scene. Traffic's the worst, so grab a can of Canada Dry Ginger Ale and imagine instead you're gently floating through the cosmos on a soft, comfy recliner. Next time, relax with the real ginger taste of Canada Dry. John Michaels from the KDON Traffic Center.
Your home for Sean Hannity. KDWN Las Vegas, KKLZ HD2 Las Vegas, a Beasley Media Group station.
Get the rest you deserve with Helix Sleep. Helix makes personalized mattresses to fit your unique body type and sleep preferences and give you the best sleep of your life. Go to helixsleep.com and get up to $200 off mattress orders.
John Schaefer here for my friends at New Mail Medical. You know, I've been telling you about them for a while now, and here's why. Because they are the innovators. You know, anytime you have an original idea, an original concept, you have somebody that comes along and they see the success of that original concept. Then they try and make it their own, and unfortunately, it's usually just a cheap imitation. Well, not with New Mail Medical, because they are the ones who got out in front of this. Testosterone replacement, ED treatments, they're the ones who've been leading the way in the nation for sexual health procedures, and they've been providing tens of thousands of men in the Las Vegas area alone for the past 7 years with that help. New Mail Medical starts with your first visit, and they are going to be there with you every step of the way. After I went there for my first visit, I felt comfortable and relaxed knowing they could help guide me through any issue I had. Newmail.com. That's NUMALE.com. 702-505-4414. That's the number. Don't see a cheap imitation. Go to the originators. Newmail.com. 702-505-4414.
V is for victory, except on Saturdays when V is for veterans. That's Veterans Talk, The Forgotten Promise. Join us every Saturday from noon to 1.
Veterans Talk every Saturday at noon on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDWN.
This is Lorraine Hunt Bono, inviting you to tune in for Breaking Bread with Bono. Join my husband, Dennis Bono, as celebrities share with him their intimate and humorous stories. Saturdays, 5 to 6 p.m., right here on KDARN.
Can a tree change a life? At Trees for the Future, we believe trees make all the difference in the fight against poverty, hunger, and climate change. Through a proven permaculture method called the Forest Garden Approach, Trees for the Future has positively impacted over 26,000 farmers and their children. Are you ready to leave a lasting impact on the world? Find out how to plant seeds of hope this season at trees.org/radio. That's trees.org/radio.
Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDAWN. The opinions of the hosts on KDWN are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of this station, its management, or Beasley Media Group. Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, hour number 2. Glad you could join us. By the way, coming up later in the show, Tomi Lahren from Fox Nation, former UNLV grad, will be joining us. This is a story that I wanted to bring up. I think it's very, very important. You know, I talk about Mike Pence all the time and how he's a hypocrite and how he's, a homophobe and his ridiculous opinions on gay conversion therapy. I think he is a nut. And now we have a former Republican lawmaker, Aaron Schock, and maybe this shouldn't come as a shock to anyone, no pun intended there. Well, maybe there was. But during his 6 years in Congress, Schock voted against many measures supporting by the LGBT community, including hate crimes legislation and the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. So now the scumbag has come out as being gay himself, which is absurd. It's ridiculous. So the guy we have with us on the line right now, his name is Adam Sank, and he's a former comedian. He hosts a weekly podcast that's very popular called The Adam Sank Show, and he wrote an open letter to this former GOP congressman saying, you are not welcome here, and not that you asked for our forgiveness, but you don't have it. And this man, of course, Adam Sank, is an openly gay individual himself. So what better person to talk to than him? Adam, I appreciate you taking some time to join us. How are you?
Hey, Brian, my pleasure. I want to correct one thing you said. Instead of former comedian, I prefer washed-up comedian.
Okay, fine. All right, Mr. Washed-up comedian. No, you're a really funny guy, and we appreciate you taking some time to join us. So what do you make of this? I mean, you want to talk about the definition of a scumbag, a hypocrite, whatever word you want to use. This guy has been anti-gay his entire 6 years in Congress, and now he comes out as gay. What do you make of this?
Well, here's the thing. Those of us in the gay community, we knew Aaron Schock was gay when he was still in Congress because we all have gaydar, and because he decorated his office to look like a room from Downton Abbey. using his congressional funds, which is one of the reasons why he was forced to retire and later prosecuted. But, you know, we know a gay guy when we see one, right? He was always posing shirtless for all these muscle magazines, and he had all these male aides, these you know, legislative aides who would travel with him to these countries, which was also on the taxpayers' bill. So we knew he was a closet case. And you know what? We didn't care. Like, if you want to be closeted, that's your business. You don't have to come out.
Right.
But don't vote against us. Don't vote against your own people.
Why would he do that, Adam? Why?
My understanding is that he represented a very conservative district, and they're the ones who put him in office. And, of course, none of them knew he was gay because conservative straight people have no gaydar.
You're right about that.
He was just voting to please them. And, you know, why does anyone vote against their own interests? It's all about political power or what they perceive as political power. He wanted to be part of the Republican Party. And then and now, if you want to be a real mover and a shaker in the Republican Party, one of the best ways to do it is to bash gay people, trans people, you know, other repressed minorities. So then he leaves Congress, and for years he's showing up at all kinds of gay events. He's spotted online, you know, canoodling with guys at Coachella and all of these other like sort of fabulous events. Massaging guys' shoulders. There's a picture of him with his hand down someone's pants. There was a picture of him with a stripper in Mexico City. Like he wasn't really hiding the fact that he was gay.
A male stripper in Mexico City?
Male stripper, yeah.
Oh.
Thank you for making that clear. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Adam.
It would have been a weird part of the story if suddenly he stuck his hand down a yeah. But anyway, so he was going to all these things and basically acting as though he were a member of the gay community. Meanwhile, he still hadn't come out. And more importantly, he hadn't addressed his voting record or apologized to the community. So yesterday, he finally does those things, right? Or at least he does come out. He posts this lengthy sob story on Instagram about how, you know, his family has been so rejecting of him ever since they found out, and they wanted him to get conversion therapy, and all of that's terrible, right? We all relate to that. We've all been through a lot of crap with our families, most of us, when it comes to coming out. But then he goes on to talk about his voting record, and all he says is basically like, okay, so I was against gay marriage at the time, but so were Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama.
Right. What a cop-out.
Right. So he totally does a what about with those two, both of whom, by the way, when they were actually in power, when Obama was actually president and Hillary was Secretary of State, they were outspoken advocates of LGBTQ equality.
They were. Yep. You're right.
And they're the reason why the Supreme Court ended up passing it. They were part of the marriage equality movement. So that's completely...
And Adam, can I add something else, too? Yeah. So when he resigned from Congress in 2015, there was all this media scrutiny about him because of his spending habits. And let's correct me if I'm wrong, he was indicted on 24 charges of misuse of federal campaign funds back in 2016. And then after, you know, he said it was 4 years of legal hell. And there was all these photographs that you were talking about. And then he said that he's still estranged from some of the members of his conservative family. Well, that doesn't surprise me one bit. But I got to ask you this. Since you do say you have the gaydar, and I believe you do, what do you make of Mike Pence? Do you believe Mike Pence is gay?
Well, I hope not, because we don't want him. But let me say this about just in general, because I don't know anything about Mike Pence other than the fact that he's a complete lunatic who refers to his wife as mother.
You're right, he does, yeah. And
can't be alone in a room with another woman who isn't his wife, because, you know, the temptation is so great. I mean, he's terrifying. The fact that he's in charge of the response to coronavirus right now is literally the scariest thing that's happening in the world. But I will say this. Most of the time, when you have very anti-gay people, when they're outspoken and they go out of their way to try to pass laws that repress LGBTQ people, whether they're preachers, whether they're lawmakers, whoever they are, it turns out sooner or later that they have homosexual feelings themselves.
Well, how do you decipher the difference between pandering and playing to your fan base or your political base, and as opposed to actually having being a closet case, as you mentioned with Aaron Schock?
Well, it comes down to integrity. I mean, Aaron Schock had a conservative voting record in everything he did. He could have been one of the few Republicans who said, you know what, I'm not voting for the Defense of Marriage Act because it offends me. He could have said, as a Republican who believes in small government, this law offends me because I don't think the government should be talking about who we should or should not marry. I think that should be left to the individuals or left to the states, right? That would have been a conservative position without bashing gay people. There's all kinds of ways to do the right thing and still please your constituents. And if you can't please your constituents, if they really do vote you out of office because you've done the right thing, at least you've done the right thing. Isn't that more important?
Absolutely. If you're just joining us, we're speaking with Adam Sank. He's a former comedian. He liked me to describe him as washed-up comedian, but I would never say that. And he hosts a weekly podcast called The Adam Sank Show. Of course, we're talking about Aaron Schock, congressman of 6 years on the right, who has now come out as being gay, and he has been anti-gay, I guess you could say, based on his record of voting. The man we have with us on the line right now says, we should not forgive this guy. He's not one of who we are, and should not get forgiveness. Go ahead.
Brian, I just want to point out, he didn't ask for our forgiveness.
Right.
He didn't apologize. Nowhere in this lengthy note that he posted did he say the words, I'm sorry. He didn't ask forgiveness. He didn't say, I apologize. He said something along the lines of, if I were in Congress today, I would vote differently.
Yeah, who cares?
And that's great,
Yeah.
But you're not. When it mattered, you were against us, and now you don't even have the decency to apologize.
Yeah.
And yet you still think you're welcome at these spaces that we have spent decades creating. There used to be a time where if you were gay, you couldn't go to a gay bar. There were no gay bars.
Right.
If you tried to gather with other gay people, you'd be arrested. That was a crime in and of itself. Just gathering with other known homosexuals was a crime. You would be beaten. You'd be arrested. In some cases, you were killed.
Mm-hmm.
We spent 50 years since Stonewall, and when I say we, I don't mean me. I'm talking about the activists in the streets who did this hard work to create like these safe places where any queer person can go and feel comfortable and safe. And Aaron Schock just thinks he can wander in.
It's a joke.
Take advantage of that?
No, you're right. It's an absolute joke. So I have to ask you this, Adam. What would you make of the President of the United States giving the Medal of Freedom Award to Rush Limbaugh, a man who has been openly homophobic and has said anti-gay things his entire career? What would you make of people on the right that believe in gay conversion therapy? We had Pete Buttigieg's brother-in-law on the line who talked about how he believes Pete Buttigieg is a sinner. What would you say to people like that, the Rush Limbaughs of the world and those who look up to him?
Well, first of all, Trump giving Limbaugh the Medal of Honor was one of the worst things Trump's ever done, and it's pretty hard to rank all the horrible things Trump has done. But that's definitely near the bottom. And forget about gay rights. Rush Limbaugh has attacked women. He's attacked people of color. His whole career has been about hatred and division and fear, and frankly, spreading lies and distorting reality. But I would say to those people who hate gay people or who don't believe that our lifestyle, which is a word I hate using, our orientation is somehow not valid, I would say, fine, you believe all those things, and then just go live your life.
Right.
And let us live ours.
Mm-hmm.
We're not trying to convert you. We're not trying to convince you that gay is good. We are just trying to live our lives. We're trying to have relationships and get married and raise kids and go to our job. Like, I'm calling you from my office right now. I'm on my lunch break. Like, we go to work, we pay our taxes, we have dogs and cats and live in the same neighborhoods as you. We're not like these freaky ass people who are living some sort of aberrant lifestyle. The only difference between me and you is that you like chicks and I like dudes.
Yeah, chicks don't like me, though. That's the only problem.
That is an absolute fact.
Go ahead, JD. You got a question?
So Pete Buttigieg was the first ever openly gay presidential candidate. I thought he did an outstanding job. He obviously didn't make it that far. He endorsed Joe Biden after he dropped out. I think he has a huge future in politics. Do you believe that he will eventually be the president of the United States?
It's hard to say. I mean, he'll definitely be something, right? He's such an impressive figure, and he's charismatic. He's whip smart. He's got a great story. particularly being a military hero. I mean, to me, those are the bravest people on earth, are the people who join the armed forces and fight for our freedoms, and Pete did that. So I'd love to see him like as a cabinet secretary or, to maybe run again in the future. But I'll tell you, the people who had the biggest problem with Pete Buttigieg were other LGBTQ people who felt that, and I don't mean myself, but many friends of mine felt that he wasn't far enough to the left. And he also had a pretty spotty record when it came to dealing with race relations in South Bend. There were a lot of issues involving people of color being mistreated by the cops in South Bend when he was mayor, and he really never addressed it properly. At least that's how many people felt. So that's a problem, and I think that's why he didn't go further. But I personally think he has a lot to offer this country, and I'd like to see him learn from his mistakes and definitely come back in some form.
I could not agree with you more, Adam. Well, I have to say this. I am not attracted to men, but I like you very much, Adam, in a very heterosexual way. I hope that's okay.
Thank you. Yes, that's very titillating for me.
No, you know what? No, but in all seriousness, you do a great podcast. Really appreciate you taking your time to come on with us on your lunch break and talk a little bit about this. I could not agree with you more, my man. And I'm glad you've outed this guy because he deserves it, and we all need to, because this man has zero character.
Just to be clear, I didn't out him. He outed himself.
Very true.
I just responded.
Very true. Well, let me put it to you this way. I love your response, and I feel the same way you feel. Adam, thank you so much for joining us, man. Really do appreciate it. And I hope you resurrect your stand-up comedian career.
You know what? When the money's good enough, I come back.
Fair enough. Adam Sank, thanks for your time, man.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Appreciate
Thanks a lot, Adam.
That is Adam Sank, a former comedian, host of a weekly podcast called The Adam Sank Show. Okay, so I pose this question to our listeners right now. And if you're just joining us, this former Republican lawmaker, Aaron Schock, just came out as gay for 6 years. He's put in all these anti-gay measures. So, first of all, does this guy deserve forgiveness, number one? And second of all, I agree with everything this guy Adam said, by the way. Why won't you let these gay people live their lives? Why won't you let them get married and raise children? Why won't you let them do what they do and you do what you do? So I asked you Christians out there, I asked you people on the evangelical right who support Mike Pence so much in this gay conversion therapy stuff, why won't you just let people live their life? Why do you have to interfere with their lives?
It's because, as the late great, or who Jim Marchand, who was on our show a couple of days ago, he said, people aren't born gay, Brian.
Well, that's absurd. Yeah, because I'm sure Richard Simmons was born straight. It's one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard in my life. We'll take some phone calls on this. I do want to take a break first, but again, I posed that question. What is your problem with people who are homosexuals? Here's my problem. I have a problem with at least one homosexual, maybe two. I'll put Mike Pence in there too. I have a problem with this guy, Aaron Schock. He votes against all these measures against the gay community, and now all of a sudden he comes out as gay, and he wants us to forgive him. He wants us to come out and say, well, not come out literally, and say, you know what, we forgive you, even though he didn't, ask for an apology. He didn't he didn't ask for one. I should say he didn't give one himself. The number to call is 702-257-5396. Again, that number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation is 702-257-5396. What do you think of a man for 6 years with all this anti-gay stuff in his 6 years in Congress, voting against many measures supporting the LGBTQ community, and now all of a sudden he comes out as gay? And his excuse is, well, look at Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama. They were anti-gay measures. But you know what? When they were in office, they were not. So it's not correct. 702-257-5396. Again, that number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. We'll take a few phone calls now. 702-257-5396. Let's start off with Adam. Adam, you are first up on the Vegas Take. What do you make of all this?
Hey, what's up, Adam?
Reason why I think that homosexuality is a sin.
Why are you whispering? Can you talk like a normal human being, or what's going on there with you, Adam?
I'm in the library as a librarian.
All right. Have a nice day. Have a nice day, Adam. We appreciate
Adam,
the phone
really,
call.
really good call.
702-257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Brady. Brady, you're next up on the Vegas Take.
What's up, Brady?
Yeah, good morning, gentlemen. Hey, Brian, when are you coming out of the closet? Your whole show is dedicated to the homosexual community. That's all you talk about for the last 2 months straight.
So what did we talk about? Okay, so hold on. Just to be factual, what did we talk about in the first hour?
I didn't listen. I was busy.
You didn't listen. You didn't listen because you're a moron, Brady, and you make assumptions. You're an idiot, Brady.
We talked about
Brady the jackass. Brady the jackass. Back at it again. I didn't listen to the show, but all you do is talk about homosexuality. You know what you do, Brady? All you do is spew stupidity. Bye.
Right. We talked about homosexual basketball players, homosexual college basketball players.
Yeah, that's exactly what we did.
We were identifying homosexual college basketball players for 45 minutes.
You know, Brady is like that guy Vito in The Sopranos. I think he's living the double lifestyle, and he's afraid to get whacked. That's what I think. 257.
Do you think they are similar physically in stature?
I don't know, but I think Brady has an IQ of about 20. I'll say that. Let's go to Carrie. Carrie, you are next up on the Vegas Take. 257-5396. Carrie, what is on your mind?
Hey, what's up, Carrie?
Carrie, go ahead.
Hello, Carrie.
Carrie, can you hear us? Carrie, are you there? Carrie, did you just drop your Obama phone? I think she did. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Giuseppe. Giuseppe, you are next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
How you doing there?
Good. What's on your mind?
Doing great.
I want to weigh in on all this here. I'm a believer, a staunch believer in the Lord and what he has written in the Bible. And if you read the Ten Commandments, a man shall not sleep with a man and a woman shall not sleep with a woman. And they want us to accept them, and I can't do that because of my religious beliefs.
Well, that's you, though.
It says in the Bible that God loves the person, but he hates the act.
Okay.
First, is it possible that you could actually
make them acceptable?
That you could repeat that commandment verbatim, please?
I'm sorry, what?
Well, the commandment that you just mentioned. Can you repeat it verbatim?
I can't hear you.
Can you repeat the verbatim the commandment, please, sir? Sir, I am God, and I am asking you to repeat my commandment. I am God. I am God Shapiro, and I am telling you to please repeat my commandment. Can you please repeat my commandment, sir? God told me to tell you, please. Oh, get this guy off the line, this lunatic. I said Jesus Christ. Oh, boy. That's going to really bother him. 702-257-5396.
He did say he couldn't hear us.
For the love of God, will you please open up your ears and get God says clean the wax out of your ears. 702-257-5396. I believe we have Carrie back on. Carrie, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
I call them a true politician. You got to flip-flop when you're a politician. And that's what they do on every aspect across the board. They flip-flop. Go back over the years and see how many switch their decision on what they do, or contradict themselves. Hypocrites. It's part of, you got to be a hypocrite to be a politician.
I think a lot of politicians do that, Carrie, but I don't think it makes it right.
It's not right, but how often do we hold people accountable for being right in politics?
But Carrie,
being wrong?
I understand. Carrie, listen, I understand what you're saying.
They hold Donald Trump accountable on a pretty consistent basis for being wrong.
Carrie, I understand what you're saying, but while I understand what you're saying, Carrie, this is a specific situation where somebody comes out as being gay. Okay, he didn't really say who he was before he was in Congress, and he was anti-gay and put all these anti-gay policies in order, and now he comes out as gay, and he expects people are just going to treat him just fine. This is a very specific case of being a horrible hypocrite, is it not, Carrie?
Oh, of course it is.
Yeah.
It's right in your face, hypocrite.
Right.
Well, I mean, is it hypocrisy?
People won't forgive him just as they have forgiven Donald Trump for his crap.
Is it hypocrisy, or do you think that if Pete Buttigieg had run for presidency as a gay man in 2008, that
I was going to vote for him,
that Aaron Schock would have felt more comfortable coming out, and maybe he just did not feel at all comfortable about coming out, and now
nobody has a problem with him coming out. We have a problem with him not coming out before.
I don't think that he knew that, though.
He knew he was gay for I don't know how many, from probably birth.
Clearly he knew he was gay, but I'm saying I don't think that he knew that people wouldn't have a problem with him coming out.
That's in his. Then he is not aware enough of what's around him and what is out there. That is just an excuse. That's an excuse. He was a coward. He should have done instead of being somebody he's not.
I agree.
And that's on him.
I agree.
My issue is with his lies, not with what he is. I don't care if you're gay or straight. You do your job. You do your job.
Right.
Who you sleep with is none of my damn business.
I agree.
Right, but there's something to be said for the reason why there had never been a openly homosexual presidential candidate until the 2020 election.
Well, I think because there's a lot of people in this country that are bigots, quite frankly.
No, and moving forward, I think you'll see a lot more, and I was actually going to ask Adam this, but I think you'll see a lot more politicians come out as gay and feel more comfortable running for office to some degree because of what Pete Buttigieg did.
Kerry, I appreciate the phone call, and I do agree with you. And I think we all agree here it doesn't make it right. And this is one of those special circumstances, and I would not be surprised if Mike Pence was another one of those people. And by the way, yes, Mike Pence is a lunatic, and this is the guy that tried to prey off this AIDS epidemic and this needle situation. People died because of his stupidity. He'd rather be in the jerk circle, as I like to call it, and pray with people rather than actually get things done and put some things in place that could save people's lives. That is Mike Pence. I would not be surprised eventually in his lifetime. He probably doesn't have the courage to do it. Not to say that this idiot Shock has any courage, because he doesn't. But Mike Pence probably won't come out of the closet, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's had homosexual experiences in his life. That would not shock me one bit. We're talking about this former Republican lawmaker, Aaron Schock, who has now come out as gay. For 6 years, he spent time in Congress, and he voted against many measures that would have supported the LGBTQ community. It is disgusting. It is wrong. And we're taking your phone calls on this at 702-257-5396. Again, 257-5396. We will get to all your phone calls on the other side of the break. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to The Vegas Take on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDAWN.
I was 9 when I lost my leg to bone cancer. I had a 50% chance to live. After chemotherapy treatments at my children's hospital and the amputation, I had beaten the odds. But would I ever be as active as I once was? Fast forward 20 years, I've competed in the Paralympics and now play on the U.S. amputee soccer team. Help kids live their dreams just like me. Put your money where the miracles are. Give to your Children's Miracle Network Hospital.
Listen to the Texas Corners Bible Church every Saturday night at 11 p.m. and Sunday night at 10 p.m. on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDAWN.
This is Harry Jacobs from Credit Restoration of Nevada, inviting you to join me for the Credit Show, Saturday mornings between 9 and 10, here on the new 101.5 FM and 720 AM, KDAWN.
Slow distribution of test kits to track the coronavirus outbreak. The CDC's Dr. Jay Butler says the death rate is probably around 1% overall.
While that may sound low, keep in mind that if we are talking about an infection that, as far as we know, may actually spread around the world over the next, say, 12 to 18 months, and everyone is susceptible, that is the most significant epidemic that's occurred since the 1918 influenza pandemic.
Passengers aboard a cruise ship off the California coast had been instructed to stay in their cabins as they await test results today that could show whether the coronavirus is spreading among the 3,500 people aboard the ship. About 24 people on the ship have reported symptoms similar to those of the coronavirus. On Wall Street, stocks are down again today, but not as severely. The Dow is down about 400 points. I'm Mike Moss.
It's time to check the roads.
From the Lerner Road Traffic Studio.
This report sponsored by Upwork. When you need in-demand talent on demand, a crash I-15 northbound at MLK. The Spaghetti Bowl is at the on-ramp, blocking, causing delays. Also a crash on I-15 southbound at Flamingo. And an accident on the Southern Beltway eastbound at Stephanie. Vehicles off to the right. On the surface streets, a crash injury sustained reported Decatur at Russell. Police and fire with the scene. Upwork has the world's largest network of independent professionals like designers, developers, data scientists, you name it. When you need in-demand talent on demand, Upwork is how. I'm John Michaels from the KDAWN Traffic Center.
This is Lorraine Hunt Bono, inviting you to tune in for Breaking Bread with Bono. Join my husband, Dennis Bono, as celebrities share with him their intimate and humorous stories. Saturdays, 5 to 6 p.m., right here on KDAWN.
Nevada is the winningest state for Wheel of Fortune slots, paying over $1 billion in cold hard cash. Play Wheel of Fortune at your favorite casino today. Wheel of Fortune is a registered trademark of Caliphone Production Incorporated. All rights reserved.
SportsX Radio Nation, what's up? It's Ken Thompson, host of SportsX Radio, reminding you to catch me at my new time, 8 to 10 p.m. for all the local Vegas sports coverage, plus the national scene as well. That's SportsX Radio on the new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDWN.
Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce, taking Nevadans to Capitol Hill for the latest on the federal issues that matter most to you.
Eye on Washington, Saturday morning at 9:30 on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON.
It's a new year, so why not work on you? Make a New Year's resolution that includes a beautiful and improved smile. AQ Dental Services has the experience and on-site lab to help make your smile reflect a new and improved you. AQ Dental has an on-site tooth designer, 3D scanner, and can craft the smile of your dreams. Make an appointment today at 702-565-6000. If you have a problem with your teeth and you don't know what to do, pick up the phone and call AQ. 702-565-6000. 702-565-6000. Or visit aqdentureservice.com.
Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON.
Welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. Glad you could join us on a Friday. By the way, coming up in hour number 3 at the top of the hour, we'll be joined by Tomi Lahren, a UNLV grad. Of course, you know her from Fox Nation, Fox News. She's made a gazillion TV appearances. She's been on The View. She's really been everywhere. So she's going to be joining us coming up hour number 3. Plenty to get to with her from a conservative point of view. So I'm sure we'll get into some good discussion coming up at the top of the hour. We are talking about this former Republican lawmaker. His name is Aaron Schock. He has a troubled past. Well, he's come out as gay, and under normal circumstances, it wouldn't be a big deal. Well, we're glad he came out. We're glad he's able to be comfortable with who he is. His whole life he hasn't been. But the problem we have with this is 6 years in Congress, Schock voted against many measures that would have supported the LGBTQ community, including hate crimes legislation and the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. For lack of a better term, this man is a scumbag. Make no mistake about it. And he's a coward. And we're taking your phone calls on this. What do you make of this? 702-257-5396. Should this man get any type of forgiveness? Should he have to apologize? Am I wrong? Did he do nothing wrong? Let us know. 257-5396. I promise I'd get back to some calls right away. Wayne, you've been waiting patiently on hold. Thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
How are you today?
Good, Wayne. What do you make of all this?
Well, I like to direct the traffic a little bit back in your favor. Because some of the people kind of come down a little hard on you sometimes, Brian.
Oh, that's okay. I come back about 2 times harder on them, so it's all good, man.
Well, I understand because I got a good friend that runs the radio as a host, and he's actually in Vegas, but he's internet radio.
Gotcha.
And some of the things that people throw at you guys is pretty stern.
Well, you know, there's going to be ignorant people. There's always going to be people like that from time to time that are going to call in. I'd like to think that most of the people that call in are intelligent people, but we get a few people from time to time that forgot to take their medication this morning. That's going to happen, Wayne.
Right. But I got a question for you. And first, I'm going to answer your question. I think this character running in Senate and lying like that finally surfaced and has proven to the people that they cover everything up just to get their own way.
Yeah, they do.
And then when it surfaces, they're just like, here, we'll slam the door. I know I was wrong, but you couldn't accept it.
Make no mistake about it. He would have rather have hurted his own people, so he stayed in office, than doing the right thing and supporting those like him. That's what type of moron this guy is. He's just a horrible human being. He has zero character. He has zero backbone. And I hope he lives the single life every day for the rest of his life, and no gay man will date him because of this. I really hope so. I really hope that happens.
There's like this medical question I want to ask you because it's bothering me, but there's another person that has been in the grandstand running for president that has that problem, Brian. But you know what? I kind of know her a little bit because she's from my home state, Minnesota, and it's Elizabeth Warren. She started this, what I call fake news or fibbing a little bit about being Indian, but
yes.
She took the walk. Some things came down in Minnesota that, according to the politicians, sure put a lot of problems in the community,
right?
And they're not getting solved. And some of our better half in Senate and stuff are starting to come up with their own little fake news stories because it gets so boring watching. They have nothing else.
Well, and Wayne, what you said, by the way, Wayne, I do appreciate the kind words in the phone call. What you said about Elizabeth Warren, I think the reason why Elizabeth Warren will never be the president of the United States, probably never even the vice president, because she doesn't resonate. She didn't resonate, just like Hillary Clinton didn't resonate. There is a phoniness aspect to Elizabeth Warren. I don't think she's a horrible person. She was a teacher, a special education teacher for a while. I don't think she's a bad person. I think she's a bad politician. There's a difference there, right? Donald Trump might be a good politician. He's a bad person. That is the difference. 702-257-5396. Again, 257-5396 if you want to be a part of the conversation. Let's go to Michelle. Michelle, you are next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Michelle?
Hey, I want to wish you a wonderful weekend, Brian and JD. We have beautiful weather.
We do.
And yesterday I said the virus was well in hot, dry, arid conditions. I meant to say dry, not humid yesterday.
Gotcha.
So we can look forward to our temperatures rising like today.
Michelle, I like your weather report. You're our new meteorologist. Thank you. We expect to get a daily report from you on the weather. I appreciate that. Hey, Michelle, what do you think about this guy? He comes out as gay, Aaron Schock, 6 years in Congress, and he voted on all these measures against the gay community. What do you make of somebody like that?
Well, actually, my thoughts were on your guest, Adam,
yes.
when he was attempting to paint a picture of normalcy, like Leave It to Beaver. He was saying we want to raise children, we have pets, we want to live in regular neighborhoods, we want to live our lives.
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
We want to be in a married relationship.
Of course.
And the reality is that same-sex relationships go against the basic laws of nature. That's why two men cannot
Michelle,
have
but with
a
all
baby.
okay, but Michelle, let's talk about this for a second. With all due respect, that is your personal opinion. Why do you
It's
want?
not my personal opinion.
Yes, it is.
The laws of nature. A man and a woman can have a baby.
According to who?
That is actually the law of nature.
According to
a man
who?
And a man cannot have a child.
Okay.
A woman,
Now listen,
but
there
that's
are some
I understand.
things- there are
But
some
the
things
question
in
is,
life-
Michelle, how is Adam Schenck being a homosexual and wanting to have a child not in a natural way affecting you in your life? And the answer is it isn't.
Yeah. JD just asked you a question, Michelle. Did you not hear it?
It's breaking up a little. Go ahead. Could you ask it again, please?
Go ahead.
Said, the question is, how is Adam Schenck, or any homosexual for that matter, having a child with their husband or their partner who happens to be the same sex as them, how is that adversely affecting your life, Michelle?
It's really not. I'm just saying that he said we're not trying to change anything, but the gay community does have a definite agenda. They do want to influence us and our opinions.
That's not okay.
I will not
Hold on.
be
That is
influenced and change my mind.
Hold on a second. That's Michelle. Again, with all due respect, that is a big generalization you just made. Let me just finish my thought.
Gay conspiracy.
Okay. First of all, there are many people in the gay community, like Adam Sank, that just want to live their life. They don't want to be bothered. They want to do what they want to do as far as what you would do. Have kids, raise a family, be left alone, work, go to their home, provide food on the dinner table. And if you don't want that lifestyle and you don't want your fans or friends, family to have that lifestyle, that's fine. That's on you. But why should we push legislation forward just because your opinion might be different than somebody else? That doesn't make any sense to me at all.
They do not want to live quiet, peaceful lives in regular neighborhoods.
What do you mean?
They want to influence society and change it from the roots of society.
What do you mean the roots of society should be treating everyone as equals and letting people live their lives regardless of sexual orientation? That should be what America's all about, treating everyone as equals, to have the freedom to be able to date who you want to date no matter what they look like or what they have between their legs. That is the roots of America as far as I'm concerned.
All I know is there's some things in life that we are to use self-control. There are things that will always come our way, like temptations, and you just deny it. We're talking about basic things: drinking, drugs, alcohol.
So you think we all should deny? So you think we all should deny sex? I don't understand what you're saying. I don't get it. What do you mean?
When the temptation comes of same-sex inappropriate relations, you turn from it from the very beginning. When it first comes your way, it came my way too. And I was a little like,
okay,
gee, what would it be like to have a female?
Listen, Michelle.
But no, I said no because I didn't want to either.
I understand,
Michelle. It sounds like you consistently have these urges to have relationships with females, and you're afraid to do so based on the conversation that we're having.
Is that true?
I'm not afraid of anything.
No,
All I know is that I have said no to drugs. I've said no to men that want to say, "Hey, let's just live together."
Well, certain drugs, okay, I understand, Michelle. Certain drugs are against the law. It's not against the law for a man to date a man or a woman to date a woman, and I apologize. I just had the temptation to hang up on you. 702-257-5396. Again, the number to call if you want to be a part of this conversation, 257-5396. Let's go to Becca. Becca, you are next up on the Vegas Take. Becca, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
Hey, what's up, Becca?
Yeah, so first, I've actually called in several times. We've had some really lovely conversations in the past. I am a bisexual person. I have never told you that in our previous conversations. The reason that I completely understand why, what was his name? Adam Shank? Right?
Adam was is the podcaster that happens to be gay that shares my own opinions that this lawmaker Aaron Schock just came out. Let me just Becca, if I can for just 1 second, let me just reset the story and then I'll let you make your comments. If you're just joining us, former Republican lawmaker Aaron Schock has just come out as gay. Now, normally that would probably be a good thing, but here's the issue with this. During his 6 years in Congress, Schock voted
a lot of anti-LGBT
Exactly.
votes.
He voted against many measures supporting the LGBTQ community, which is utterly disgusting, and he's a coward with no backbone. We're taking your calls at 702-257-5396 and talking about this. We have Becca on the line. She is an openly gay female. So what are your thoughts on this, Becca?
So I can see it from both sides, quite frankly. I can understand why he took so long to come out because of people like your last caller, quite frankly. The gay community does not have an agenda. We just want to be accepted. And it really irks me whenever people say that because I just want to be able to live my life the same way that every other person gets to who is a straight person.
Sure.
Now, that being said, when she said infiltrating our neighborhood, I actually live in a really nice community here in Vegas, and my neighbors have been nothing but kind about the fact that me and my wife are both women. They've been nothing but accepting. They are so sweet, and we're not trying to push our views and our way of life on other people. We just want to be able to live our lives.
Yeah, and by the way, I have a problem with that, and I agree with you, by the way, Beck. I have a problem with people who make statements like that, like the last caller. What about all the straight people that infiltrate neighborhoods? What about all the straight people that commit sins, that commit crimes? What about all the straight people that are bad people? Don't you make this claim that just because you're gay, you're dirtying our neighborhoods and you're infiltrating our neighborhoods. It's absolute nonsense, and I think it's really sad that there are people in society that think like that, right? Those are the type of people.
It's very much a double standard.
Yeah, those are the type of people that will never say a negative thing about Donald Trump, the man who has unprotected sex with porn stars 2 months after his wife has a child, commits adultery on a regular basis. He is a weasel who goes after women based on looks and go after POWs.
Brian,
but hold on, let me finish.
Why do you integrate
Let me
Trump?
finish.
Why do you integrate your Trump hate
All right,
checklist
what
into
do
the
we?
conversation?
Okay, well, go ahead, JD.
No,
you can open up the phone lines. Go ahead.
You want to talk about Pence? I understand. Honestly, I believe that
I'm
Pence,
trying to make a point. You interrupted me, but go ahead.
Totally, because you brought up Trump
Can
for
I finish
no reason
my? No,
whatsoever.
well, you didn't let me
and
finish.
ran off your checklist.
Okay, you didn't let me finish. So
Brian.
if you could please let me finish why I brought up Donald Trump, I think I'm going in a circle here. You understand? The people on the right, Becca, you can tell me if you agree or disagree. There are people on the right, the evangelical right, that will not say one negative thing about Donald Trump, the sins he commits, the adultery, the lying, the taxes, going after POWs, going after Gold Star families, going after immigrants. Okay? They won't say a word about that. But, oh, my God, if you come out as gay, oh, no, we need to pay for you to go to conversion therapy. They're idiots. That's what these people are, Becca.
I completely agree with that. And unfortunately, the fact of the matter is that one of the reasons that I feel like this guy probably didn't come out until now is that, especially as a Republican, and this is coming from a girl who was born and raised in Texas for 20 years of my life.
Bush country, GW
I
country.
have family who has disowned me because I came out as bi.
That's
I
awful.
have family who did not come to our wedding because they didn't support it, and we don't talk anymore. And it's an unfortunate thing, but I can understand why that has influenced not only his ability to openly be him, but also some of the votes that he made. Now, that being said, I think that it is despicable, and I wish that he would have really come to terms with this before he hurt the LGBT community nationwide. But I can understand why he was scared.
Sure. So, personal question, Becca. If you get intoxicated and you're female and you just have we'll call it a makeout session with your female friend, Does that make you bi, or like what actually do you define as bi?
I define bi as wanting to have a actual relationship with a woman, as well as wanting to have that same type of relationship with a man. I've known plenty of people, some of my best friends, all of whom are straight, who have gotten drunk at a bar in their 20s, or heck, even recently. And like just for fun, they go and make out with a girl, but there's nothing. They don't have that urge to do anything more than just have some fun, kiss a person, and
of course,
that's it.
yeah.
There's
Well,
no romantic feeling.
of course, AKA also known as I kissed a girl and I like it. And by the way, for the record, for the record, Becca, let me just say men are disgusting. So I'm with you 100. We could get along, Becca. We're gonna hit up the strip club together one of these days. All right.
They're fun, but
Yeah, no,
I
hear you.
prefer.
Yeah.
I lean a little more towards the ladies.
I understand. Well, Becca, we have that in common. Thank you so much for the phone call. We appreciate you sharing that with us.
Great call, Becca.
Yep, 702-257-5396. Let's go to Carl. Carl, you are next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
What's up, Carl?
How you doing, buddies?
Good.
Listen, before I give you my point, I want to clue you in on something. The reason Brady didn't listen to your first hour, he was locked in the closet. Somebody had to let him out.
Yeah, you're probably right about that. That would not surprise
You're
me.
not usually funny, Carl, but that was actually very funny.
Okay. No, listen, let me get something straight. I mentioned this a long time ago, but the gay people and the very religious right who say it's a sin and all, well, what they're doing is they're saying God made a mistake. And let me explain the scientific reason for that and the medical reason for that. When an embryo is made, it gets a overabundance of male or female chromosomes and genes. Sometimes a male baby gets too many female chromosomes and genes.
Well, let me just interject, Carl, real quick and say that many people on the right, we've had even some of those Republicans in studio that think you are born gay, which is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my life. It shows you how dumb some of these people are. If you are one of those people that truly, truly believes that you are born gay, there's something wrong with you. You are not a very intelligent person. Now, I'm not saying that there might not be some cases, but it's not like every man wakes up in the morning in his 20s, 30s, teenage years and says, you know what? I've liked women. I think I'm going to try men today. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? That's not how it works. It's not like for everybody, it's a choice. It's absurd. But the evangelical right, this is what they believe. 257.
Actually, Brian, there is one sexuality. It's called pansexuality, where you're totally fluid and you choose what you're attracted to on a daily basis.
702-257-539. I don't know where to go with that. The number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation, 702-257-5396. Let's go to Ron. Ron, you are next up on the Vegas Take.
What's up, Ron? Don't threaten Brian's life.
Hey, good morning, BS and JD. How's it going?
It'll be going good, Ron, if this is a good phone call.
It's going well.
Well, I came up with a great idea for the United States of America.
Oh, boy.
My idea is to officially announce to the whole United States of America that 720 AD Las Vegas, Nevada is now the official queer station of America. All because of you, BS. Because BS, that's all you ever defend.
Well, I appreciate that, Ron, and I'm also going to.
Well, there you go.
I am also
going to officially the queer station of America.
Thank you, Ron.
I'm very happy that you're proficient in initials.
I am also going to say this day is the official day where Ron the Nut calls in, and I officially call it Ron the Nut Day, Ron the Psycho Day. So right back at you, my friend. 702-25.
Really good call, Ron.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, unfortunately, I was in a church service about 5 or 6 years ago. I was on a date, actually. Trust me, I did not want to go. I was on a date. And I heard the priest saying some things that same day. And that same day, when I was in church, that priest used the term queer. The same phrase that this last idiot just called in used. I was pretty pissed off. And I'm not gay. If I was, I would admit it. I would have no problem admitting who I am. I'm a very straight man. Doesn't mean I get a lot of women, but I am straight. I do like women. And I went up to that priest after the service, with my date, by the way, there, and I didn't care. I was so pissed off that this guy would use that word in front of children. And I went up to him and I said, how dare you? And he said, what do you mean? I said, how dare you use the term queer in front of these people a derogatory term like that. I said, you should be ashamed of yourself. You call yourself a man of God, and you're disgusting. He looked at me with a blank stare. Sorry you feel that way, and he walked away. Didn't defend the word he used. It's just disgusting. Nobody should ever use that word. It's a derogatory term that is used towards homosexuals. If you don't like somebody for whatever reason, not their sexuality, and you want to call them an idiot or a moron, whatever, but to call somebody a name because of their sexuality is pure ignorance. 257-5396. Let's go to Ron. Ron, you are next up on the Vegas Take. What is going on?
Hey, what's up, Ron?
Hey, Brian, how are you guys?
Good.
Both of you guys.
What's on your mind?
Hey, listen, the guy that was just on earlier, I have to disagree because, it says in the Bible, it says God gave over man to their imperfections. So when men started laying with men and women, he led them on to their perversions. He let them go. Do what you want to do. It's called free will. That's the only thing I disagree with that other guy about.
Right.
So, and yesterday, hey man, I wasn't trolling. I really do like you. And I didn't know what happened to Michael Avenatti because I hadn't followed it.
It's all good.
So
Listen, Ron, I appreciate that explanation. It's all good, my friend. Always appreciate your phone calls.
Thanks for the call.
Thank you for calling in, Ron.
You're right. Brian did get very defensive yesterday.
257-5396. Let's go to Mark. Mark, you are next up on the Vegas Take. Mark, what's going on?
What's up, Mark?
Done.
How you doing, Mark?
Pretty good. I lean to the right, a little bit more to the right than some.
Yep.
I'm also a Christian. Now, the Bible does mention about homosexuality being a sin, but Jesus Christ also said, "Do not judge others, lest ye be judged yourself."
Mm-hmm.
It's not for man to judge.
Right.
It's for God to judge.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you want to go out there and do whatever it is you're going to do behind closed doors, that's your right. That's your prerogative.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to condemn anybody
Yep.
for what they're doing.
Right.
I have my beliefs, and I'm deep in my beliefs,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody has that right to choose. At the end of the day, my belief is that you will be judged by Jesus Christ and God.
Mm-hmm.
That is my belief.
Yep.
Now, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And if there's nothing after life, then you know what? I lived a good life.
You know what, Mark?
And-
I like what you said, and you're right, by the way. I would never take that right away from you. You have a right to your opinion. You have a right to feel the way you feel. I just don't like those who try to push their religious beliefs on others. But, Mark, and you said something else. We all don't know. We all don't know if there's life after death. We all don't know whether God or Jesus is going to judge us. I have no idea. You have no idea. We just don't know. And what I don't like is the people that think they know everything. They know that there's a heaven and hell. They know that there's a devil. We don't know anything. You might be right. You might be wrong. I could be right. I could be wrong.
Well, listen, and that is your opinion. But see, my opinion.
Well, no, it's a fact. Nobody knows. Nobody knows for sure.
No. No one knows for sure.
Right, that's all I'm saying.
But it is my belief, and I am entitled to that belief.
And I just said you are entitled to it.
I'm not going to condemn you.
I just
for
said
saying that
I'm not
we don't
condemning.
know.
I'm not
But
condemning
for
you,
me-
Mark. Make no. I'm not condemning you. All I simply.
No, I understand that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying my belief is what I've stated.
Yeah, and you're
And
entitled to
I
your
know
belief.
that there's a lot of people out there, especially on the left, that do not believe in God, do not believe in Jesus, are towards atheism, and that's fine too.
Well, I'm not even an atheist, Mark. I believe that there is a God out there. I just don't choose to live my life based on a book. I choose to live my life the way I choose to live it. I don't break the law. I abide by the laws, and I just don't live this world based on a book. That's just my. You know what my book is? I'll tell you what my book is. My Bible, my book is the way my parents raised me. My book and my Bible is my moral ground. I don't need the Bible or what Jesus or God or what whoever said to tell me how to live my life. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. I was raised a certain way. My parents raised me that way, and I don't go by what Jesus said or what God said or what somebody said 10,000 years ago. 702-257-5396. Let's go to John. John, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, John?
Hey, good morning. I caught the tail end of this, of your show, And of course, I'm not a holy roller, and I believe God. It's all a bunch of BS. You believe what? Who cares what this guy believes? What the other guy believes? Who cares? Who
Yeah.
gives a fuck about? Well, I think this, and I think I never read the Bible. I mean, I don't even know how it's done.
Neither did I, John. John, neither did I.
I'm Catholic, by birth, but I really don't believe any of that.
I think the Bible says, "Thou shalt not be homophobic, and thou shalt not be a fat orange man." I thought I read a passage in the Bible that said that.
I got a couple of quick questions for you because I don't know anything
Okay.
about it.
Quickly, because we only got about a minute. Go ahead, John.
All right. The first thing is, I don't know if people are gay, born that way, or they become gay after. That I don't know. I mean, this is the only people we have a conversation. That's
Well,
all.
let's go with that. I think Donald Trump was born a scumbag. Let's go with that one.
No, forget politics. I don't give a rat's ass about that.
Oh, no, it's nothing to do with politics. Donald Trump was just born a scumbag, a bad guy. If people want to believe people are born gay, I believe Donald Trump was born an orange man scumbag. He was orange right out of the womb. That's what I think.
I just want to say one more thing. There was a thing on TV. They said that they couldn't understand it. They had identical twin boys, and I never saw this before. One was gay and one was straight. They blew the theories out of the water. They said, because they figured the same DNA and everything, they'd be the same. So I don't know. I mean, if you could tell me if somebody's born gay or not.
I don't believe it. Yeah, John, and listen, I appreciate your comments. No, I've been very clear on this opinion. I think there are some people that the gay might be a choice with few certain situations, maybe some horrific things that have happened to them when they were kids. I mean, I do know people where that has been the case, but the majority of people are born that way. There's no question about it. It's not like men or women wake up one day and say, I think I'm going to like men today, or I think I'm going to like women today. It just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. All right, this is going to be a lot of fun. When we come back, we're going to be joined by Tomi Lahren. She's from Fox Nation. And Tomi Lahren also graduated from UNLV. You've seen her everywhere. Fox Nation, Fox News. She's been all over the networks, all over the TV shows. And she's got some strong opinions, and we're really glad that we're going to be able to get her coming up next. Tomi Lahren, former UNLV grad, will be joining us next. This is the Vegas Take, 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON.
Your home for Sean Hannity. KDWN Las Vegas, KKLZ HD2 Las Vegas, a Beasley Media Group station.
Tornado visit. I'm Mike Moss. Americans should brace for reports of more coronavirus cases. Dr. Amy Compton Phillips is CEO of the Providence St. Joseph Health System and tells CNBC that the virus has been circulating for a while.
I do think that this virus has been circulating now for several weeks in the U.S., which means that there are places, there are hotspots, that there are cases that we will be finding what exists. So it's not that the virus is spreading even more, but that we're now identifying what was previously hidden.
President Trump says the administration got it right, blocking Chinese travel early.
And we made a good move. We closed it down. We stopped it. Otherwise, the head of CDC said last night that you would have had thousands of more problems if we didn't shut it down very early. It was a very early shutdown, which is something we got right.
President got an eyeful in a tour of the devastated Nashville area today, where tornadoes earlier this week killed 24 and destroyed dozens of buildings.
This is real devastation, like you'll never see, hopefully again. This was about as big a tornado as you can have. It was 50 miles long, which is extraordinarily long, and a very wide one. And you see what's happened. We saw it from the helicopter very well.
White House economic advisor Larry Kudlow says the administration is considering taking steps to help the economy cope with the coronavirus.
We would prefer a targeted approach, a rather micro approach. Let's think about individuals who might lose paychecks because they had to stay home if they get the virus. Let's think about small businesses that might get hurt by this.
A congressional investigation faults Boeing and poor government oversight for contributing to problems that have grounded the 737 MAX after two fatal accidents killed 346 people. On Wall Street, the Dow was down 569. I'm Mike Moss.
It's time to check the roads.
From the Lerner Road Traffic Studio.
This report sponsored by Sam and Ash. Watch for road crews. They're on the job right now on the 171 Airport Connector over the 215 Southern Beltway. And a crash reported with injury sustained on Bermuda just north of St. Rose Parkway. Also an accident on Decatur at Russell, and one more, an injury wreck reported at Rainbow south of Warm Springs Road. Hurt in an accident, you deserve fair and full compensation, and you deserve what's right. You need Sam and Ash. Visit them now at samandash.com or call 702-820-1234. I'm John Michaels from the KDON Traffic Center.
Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 1015 FM, 720 AM, KDON. The opinions of the hosts on KDWN are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of this station, its management, or Beasley Media Group. Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro on a Friday. So glad you could join us. You know, we love talking to UNLV grads, those who made it big in whatever industry they work in. And the woman we have with us on the line right now, her name is Tomi Lahren. She's with Fox Nation. She's made a ton of TV appearances, whether it be Fox News on a regular basis. She's been all over the networks, all over the national TV shows. If you don't know who Tomi Lahren is, she's a very opinionated woman. And she's somebody who is not afraid to speak her mind, whether it be on social media or on the networks, on the radio. And here is a clip of Tomi Lahren, just her take quickly on Nancy Pelosi, the ripping up of the State of the Union speech. Here is that sound.
She tore up tributes to law enforcement, border enforcement, and national security. She destroyed the stories of service members and their families, and a tribute to a media legend suffering from stage 4 lung cancer. She tore up the American dream and spit on it. Democrats, that's your den mother, that's your party, that's your message, your agenda, and your legacy. It's also the bed you've made for yourselves. Now you can lie in it.
That is Tomi Lahren, and Tomi joins us right now on the line. Tomi, thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
I'm happy to be here. It's always interesting to hear myself, yelling about politics in a soundbite. I got to live up to that. I got to get real angry. So I hope you guys fire me up about something.
Well, that's definitely Brian's
I
plan.
have a chance that I think there's a chance that's going to happen, but I've always appreciated your passion. I will definitely say that. And the fact that you went to UNLV, what do you remember about your UNLV days, by the way?
Oh, UNLV is an odd place. I think you guys know. I mean, still, when I tell people that I went to school in Vegas, they kind of look at you a little weird, like there's an actual school there. And, there is an actual school there. It's not a traditional school. But, I learned a lot at UNLV, and I probably learned more just from my experiences and how diverse it is and all the different kinds of people we have there than anything else. But, I had a great time, and I did a lot with it.
All right, so let's get to the fired up stuff. I want to get right to it, and that is Elizabeth Warren. You've been very outspoken about her. I want to play a clip from Elizabeth Warren talking about sexism. Now she says all these little girls have nobody to look up to because we have two old white men that are in the Democratic Party that are running against Donald Trump. Here is Elizabeth Warren, and then I want to get you to respond to it.
What guidance would you give to your supporters who don't know who to support now?
Well, let's take a deep breath and spend a little time on that. We don't have to decide that this minute.
And I wonder what your message would be to the women and girls who feel like we're left with two white men to decide between.
I know. One of the hardest parts of this is all those pinky promises and all those little girls who are going to have to wait 4 more years. That's going to be hard.
All right, Tomi, I'll let you respond to that. I'm not a big Elizabeth Warren fan, but what are your thoughts on that?
Is anyone an Elizabeth Warren fan? I mean, I think if we had some Elizabeth Warren fans out in the crowd, she probably would be doing better right about now. But you know what? Here's the thing. This is what frustrates me to no end. And Hillary Clinton, of course, pulled this woman card for really her entire career, and especially in this last election. As a conservative woman, yes, I am a woman, I identify as a woman, nothing frustrates me more than when liberal women cry their tears that little girls have no one to look up to. Listen, there's a lot of conservative women out there and liberal women who are doing amazing things. No, you didn't end up with a nominee or a candidate that is a woman at this stage in the Democratic Party. I understand that. But to go and say that it's because of sexism, misogyny, I think that's such a cop-out. I think it's such an excuse. And quite frankly, I think it's actually very insulting to all the women out there who don't need to be mollycoddled and treated with bubble wrap because we're women. Get over yourself. Pick up your loss and move on. You're still a United States senator.
Yeah, no, listen, I agree with you when it comes to that, but I have to ask you this. It bothers me, and obviously I'm not a woman, but it does bother me. If you don't like Nancy Pelosi, and again, I'm not a fan of Nancy Pelosi, but do you think it's beneath the presidency for Donald Trump to go after her dentures and go after her teeth and go after women based on looks? Because as much as I know you had a problem of Nancy Pelosi ripping up the speech, and I agree with you, it was ridiculous, do you also have a problem with the president of the United States going after women based on looks?
Hey, listen, I will say that I don't like it when anybody goes after anyone for looks. I think that this president jokes a lot. But the thing that I also find interesting, and I don't like to do the whataboutisms, but I never see liberal women standing up for conservative women. I've been called every name in the book. People drag my looks all the time, especially those on the left, and I never hear liberal women standing up for conservative women. And beyond that, I don't like the double standard when it comes to Donald Trump because they talk about his hair, they talk about his weight, they talk about his skin tone, they make fun of his wife, they make fun of his daughter, they make fun of his sons. At the end of the day, yes, I would appreciate if Donald Trump made fewer jokes about the looks of women, but at the same time, they do the same thing back to him and to everyone else in the political spectrum, including myself. So you can't cry about it and then do it.
And just to confirm, you're talking about liberal, the left-wing media, right? You're not talking about Brian Shapiro, because Brian Shapiro does that every single day.
Can I ask you a question? What have liberals said about your looks? You're obviously a very attractive woman, and even if you weren't, I don't support anybody making fun of a woman based on look. But can you give me an example of something that like a liberal said about you?
But how much time do you have? I mean, it's really endless. I get two things. I get you're ugly, you have a fake nose. By the way, I don't have a fake nose. And you have a giant forehead, you're pasty, you're this, you're that. What? I get those. And then the other half of them say, well, the only way you got where you are is because you're pretty, you're actually dumb. So, the liberals like to play both sides of it. And one day I'm ugly, and the other day I'm pretty, and that's why I got here.
Okay,
it's always the liberals that do it.
That is completely ridiculous. Obviously, nobody should support that type of language. But I think you understand my point, Tommy. I mean, he is the president of the United States, and he is the leader of the free world. I think it should start with him. And you're right. If there's a double standard and anybody on the left is making fun of a woman based on looks, I don't support that anymore. But he is the president, and he should set a standard. You agree with that, though, right?
I definitely do. I think that this is the character of this president. And although I don't agree with everything that he says, I don't think we elected him to be nice. I think we elected him to get things done. And that's why so many of us can say, I wish you wouldn't have said that. I wish you wouldn't have tweeted that. That joke went too far. But we're also in 2020. I don't know if you've looked around lately, but things are getting pretty crazy.
Well, they are.
In the media. And I understand that there's a certain decorum that's expected of the president. But this president doesn't fit the mold. And I'm not going to be a Trump apologist. I'm just going to tell you, he is what he is. He's getting the job done, and that's all there is to it.
Well, I certainly don't expect you to apologize. I want to obviously get to Super Tuesday and your opinions on Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders. One more question on Donald Trump, if you may, and I can only speak for myself on this. I'm an independent. I believe it is not too far-fetched to have somebody that has good policy and somebody that is respectful, somebody that does not get on a stage and side with Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un, somebody who and I do believe he withheld aid for personal gain. He has gone after John McCain, and I know you were on The View. I believe you were sitting right next to John McCain's daughter. I know she's still hurt over this. The fact that he said, I don't respect him because he was captured. And again, I'm not asking you to defend the president. I get your position, but I'm just saying, do you understand where I'm coming from? I think we need a president that can be respectful towards others, have thicker skin, and have good policy. Am I wrong in thinking that way?
Yeah, when you find him, let me know. I mean, it's really hard to find the perfect person out there. We tried the Mitt Romney and the John McCain thing that were very timid and were not tough and didn't have a thick skin and constantly apologized for everything, right or wrong.
Right.
And it wasn't effective. So at the end of the day, yes, we all wish we could have that perfect candidate that did all the right things, said all the right things, was a great person, and did wonderful things for the country. I'm not sure that person exists, but I'm very happy with what Donald Trump has been doing for the American people.
No, I think expecting perfection is reasonable, Brian.
Well,
I think that's totally reasonable.
No, well, listen,
Larry Poppins, our next president, Larry Poppins.
I'm not asking for a great person. I'm asking for a decent person, but I totally understand where Tomi is coming from. We're joined by Tomi Lahren, Fox Nation, UNLV grad as well, so really happy to have her on the program. Tomi, let's go to Super Tuesday. Your thoughts on Super Tuesday, all those that have dropped out. Now it's between Joe Biden, of course, and Bernie Sanders. Your thoughts on Super Tuesday?
Well, it was quite a mess, wasn't it?
Yes.
I mean, what I think is really interesting is from the get-go, we knew that the establishment was really in for Joe Biden. That was their candidate. It was his turn, so to speak. That's who they wanted. And then it became abundantly clear that maybe he wasn't ready for this. I mean, there was gaffe after gaffe and slips after slips. And it was just an overall atmosphere of maybe this guy just can't handle this right now. But then when everyone else started to falter, they went right back to Joe Biden. And I'm not a Bernie Sanders supporter by any means. I don't believe in socialism or any of his policies. But I think it's very clear that the DNC has made their voices very prominent that they are not going to stand for Bernie Sanders and his supporters, and they're going to make sure that they regain that control and make sure that Joe Biden's their guy.
So, Tomi, you do this for a living. So I see this as Joe Biden being the front runner for the Democratic Party. I think it's going to be Biden versus Trump. I think Trump's going to win in 2020. How do you see it?
I see Donald Trump definitely winning in 2020. Of course, we never want to get too confident. I hate being overly confident because then I think it leads people to be lazy, especially in their activism and their voting. But I do think we're going to see probably a Biden-Trump matchup. I think that it's sad for the Democrats because they don't have a good choice that anyone can really stand behind and say, this is our guy. And I would never vote for a Democrat. I won't say never. I would probably never vote for a Democrat. But it does make me sad for that party that those are their choices. They spent 3.5 years railing on how much they hate this president, and they couldn't find better candidates than Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders. I mean, come on. I think they really dropped the ball.
That's a very valid point. I couldn't agree with you more there.
The conversation has been that Bernie Sanders had the election stolen from him in 2016. The same is going to happen in 2020. A lot of his supporters are very, very anti-Donald Trump. But I think that Bernie Sanders supporters, if Joe Biden wins the nomination, they're not going to come out and vote for Biden. Do you agree with that?
Oh, I absolutely do. I think we saw that a lot in 2016 as well, the Bernie bros and the Bernie supporters. I think that the thing that Trump supporters and Bernie supporters have in common is passion and a need for change and to disrupt the system. We're disruptors, and we do it in very different ways. But I do think a lot of those people that are Bernie Sanders supporters gravitate towards authenticity. And when it comes to being authentic, Donald Trump definitely has that. They might not like all of his policies, but when the economy is doing well, and let's hope we keep recovering from this coronavirus hysteria
I'm glad you brought that up.
To business.
Yeah.
I know we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
But I do think you're going to see a lot of Bernie supporters say, I just want the genuine guy, and I think they're going to go over to Trump.
We'll get to coronavirus in a second here. I want to ask you one more political question, although I guess it is a political question when you talk about the coronavirus, sadly. But the political division in this country. Tomi, I'm 39 years old. I think this country is more divided politically than we have ever been. So my question to you is why? Why are we so divided as a country right now?
Well, I think the reason is you have a president and you have a movement, a conservative movement, a Trump-supporting movement that's loud and proud. And you haven't had that in this country for a very long time. You haven't had conservatives stand up and say, I'm proud to vote for this guy. I am a conservative. You are not going to walk over me. And that's when you started seeing the division, because for too long, conservatives just lay down in the corner and said, oh, don't look at me. I might be a Republican, but, I don't really want to tell anybody, and I don't want to ruffle any feathers. I just want to be a quiet conservative.
Right.
And then now Donald Trump came in and shook up the system, and I think the left is very angry at that. So they really got hyped up on the fact that conservatives are finally standing our ground, and that's why you're seeing political division, because we finally are fighting for ourselves.
I think there's I don't necessarily disagree with you. I think there are extremes on both sides of the aisle, and I think that's bad for the country. I certainly would start there, but like I said, I don't disagree with what you're saying. Let's talk a little bit about the coronavirus. I've never been one. I'm not a big Trump supporter, but I've never been one to blame Donald Trump for the coronavirus. Donald Trump did the other day make some statements in blaming Obama, at least for the testing and all that sort of stuff. And then, it came out that it wasn't true. But I had an issue with Don Jr.'s comments. And listen, I also had an issue with Chuck Schumer and people on the left that are blaming Trump for this. I think it's completely ridiculous, and that's wrong. This should never be politicized, and I'm sure you would agree it should be about helping people. But I had a problem with what Don Jr. said last week. I'm sure you heard about this. Don Jr. made the statement that he believes that Democrats want millions of Americans to contract the coronavirus and die so that Donald Trump would win in 2020. This is the president's son. And then the vice president of the United States, Mike Pence, said those comments were understandable when he did an interview with Jake Tapper. I have a huge problem with that type of verbiage and language. What do you say?
I wouldn't go as far as to say the Democrats want millions of Americans to get coronavirus and want the American people to die, but I do think that the Democrats did relish the fact that the stock market plunged and that we went into a period of hysteria with this president. I think that they definitely took advantage of it, and I don't think that it should be used for political gain on either side. I think the blame really lies a lot with China, and we should be focusing there and how deceptive they were and how they didn't handle it on their home front before it became so much worse. So I think we should focus on that. But to say that the Democrats didn't kind of relish in the fact that the stock market plunged. I mean, we had Bill Maher right here in Los Angeles saying, well, you know, the best thing about the coronavirus is maybe people will hate Trump. So it's not like we're pulling these things out of thin air. There are liberals out there with huge media platforms that are saying them, whether it's for comedy or not.
I agree.
It has been said.
I agree with that. I do think we need to differentiate, though, between a comedian who, you're right, Bill Maher does have a huge platform, and the son of the president and the vice president of the United States. You see where I'm going there?
No, I absolutely do. But I think that, like I said, I think Don Jr.'s comments went too far. I don't think Democrats want people to die. I think that's ridiculous. And but I do think that they did relish in the fact that the country is going through a period of unrest.
Listen,
and I think
agree.
That they're enjoying it.
Listen, Tommy, I agree with you.
And Brian, Mike Pence probably should have said what he said was.
That's what I was going to ask
his comments. Yeah, his comments may have been justified. What he should have said was, I don't agree with what Donald Trump Jr. said. And the fact, and I'm a Trump supporter myself. And the fact that Mike Pence wasn't able to say that kind of says a lot about Mike Pence.
Well, Tommy, that's what I was going to ask you. I appreciate your honesty. I really do. And why can't a Mike Pence say what you just said? Would it kill Mike Pence to say he went too far? I wouldn't have said that. But let's talk about the stock market, because that's a very valid point that you just made. Why can't Mike Pence answer a question like that?
You know, I've never really been someone who's very familiar with Mike Pence. I think he definitely takes, a role that's not as aggressive, and so sometimes I think he just goes with the flow. He doesn't want to rock the boat, and he doesn't want to upset the family or doesn't want to cause a rift or give people fodder for headlines saying Mike Pence goes against Don Jr. Right. I think maybe that's more of where it came from. I think that he was kind of just in a spot where he was trying not to be confrontational, but then again, I don't know why he did it. I think that he probably could have clarified it better.
No question. Tommy, this would be my last question for you. And by the way, we really do appreciate you coming on. And by the way, for the record, I would never call you ugly. You're extremely attractive and very smart. I just want to be clear. But I'm not a liberal either.
That was totally necessary, Brian. Thanks for that.
Maybe if I was a liberal, I might say that, which is ridiculous. But anyway, Tommy, take me back to you're 18, 19, 20 years old. You're attending UNLV. Did you ever think you would have the career you have now? You're making all these TV appearances all the time. You're a household name among conservatives. And I mean, take me back to that time. If somebody told you as an 18 or a 19-year-old at UNLV that you would be where you're at now in your career, would you have believed it?
You know, this was always the goal. And I will say that I got my start at UNLV. I hosted our political roundtable show for UNLV TV called The Scramble. And that was what really launched me into my first job at 21. And my first TV show at One America was my experience on The Scramble. So I think that if you want to work for something and you see a goal and you're determined and you're relentless in the pursuit of that goal, you'll get there. And UNLV wasn't a conventional place. That helps me a lot. Vegas is not a conventional place. That helps me a lot. And, unlike a lot of other schools, you kind of had to go at it on your own a little bit at UNLV, and you had to be independent and you had to be tough. And that's what prepared me for this industry, which we all know is a very tough industry, especially right now.
Well, I want to say congratulations on all your success. You certainly deserve it. And, man, we'd love to have you in studio sometime, and maybe we can get you fired up, talk about some abortion issues and gun control issues. That would definitely get you going a little bit.
Yeah, and if you really want to get me fired up, let's talk about immigration.
Oh, well, I'll tell you what. Next time you're in Vegas, I know you have a very busy schedule. We understand that. But, man, we'd love to have you in studio for a segment or two and have a good debate. We would love to do that if you'd be willing to do that down the road.
All right, you got it. I'll talk to you guys soon.
Thanks so much, Tommy. We appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Tommy.
Thank you, guys.
All right, there you go. Tomi Lahren, Fox Nation, Fox News. You see her on pretty much every network television show that talks politics. I mean, this woman has been everywhere. I will say this about her. I appreciate her honesty. You hear some people on TV and you think they're phony. You think they might be fake until maybe you meet them yourselves. I met her in an elevator. I didn't stalk her, ladies and gentlemen. But I met Tomi Lahren at the Democratic debate. She could not have been nicer. Really. She was so nice. And I'm just some idiot in an elevator. Who the hell's this creep? But she was very nice. I told her I did a radio show. I actually asked her a few questions about some of the issues. She was funny. She was honest. Actually, I will say this. I asked her about UNLV, and I said, what do you think about these crowds at UNLV basketball games? And her response to me was, I didn't go to games even when I was there. I thought that was really funny. But I have a newfound respect for her because at least she's able to call out things that the president says. She's able to call out things that Don Jr. says and Mike Pence says, and she's able to disagree with it, and I do appreciate
I'm glad you were able to slip in that compliment to let her know how attractive she is, which was, again, totally appropriate. But you told me after meeting her that she was actually more striking in person than she is in photos.
She is, listen, she's attractive on television, but she's even more, you meet some people in person, you're like, ooh, she looks better on television, or he looks better on television. I saw her in person, and I'm like, wow. I mean, she really is a beautiful woman. That's the type of woman that doesn't have to wear a bit of makeup, and she's really
my
beautiful.
favorite part of that segment was how she painted you as the classic Trump-hating liberal. Because
I don't think she was doing that.
Every single thing that she said that Trump-hating liberals do, you do every single day, and I really enjoyed that.
Well, I mean, I'm not a liberal.
I guarantee you, our listeners did as well.
Well, first of all, I'm going to challenge her. I will say this: when you make an appearance, as Tomi Lahren makes an appearance, I'm sure she'd agree with this on Fox News or Fox Nation on some of these shows. She's not going to be challenged on things. Now, she has made some appearances on The View and some other shows where people do challenge her, and she does a good job in defending herself. But obviously, I'm not, the type of person that's just going to do a puffer interview. I'm going to be respectful, but I'm going to ask her the questions. And by the way, I think she agreed with me on some of the stuff.
No, she did. She did.
And, the Mike Pence, Don Jr. stuff especially. But, some people are pandering to their base, and they don't have the backbone to answer questions honestly. I think Tomi Lahren would do a great radio show. I think she'd be very good at that.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, but we appreciate Tomi taking some time to join us, and we hope we can get her in studio one of these days. Not just because she's beautiful, but I actually do think she's very intelligent, very well-spoken, and she does a good job. I don't agree with a lot of her positions politically, but there's a way to disagree with people without the name calling. She was respectful to us. We're going to be respectful to her, and we hope that she joins us in studio one of these days. She's a lot more fun to look at than you, JD. All due respect, you're a very good-looking, strapping young man, but Tomi Lahren is at another level.
I
I'm sorry.
appreciate your honesty there, Brian.
No problem.
Your candor.
All right, we appreciate Tomi Lahren taking some time to join us. Coming up next, the Clintons are speaking, and you're not going to believe what they're speaking about. We'll get to that coming up next. You're listening to the Vegas Take right here on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDAWN.
Anxiety meds? Everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit beefy, or even with type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Affordable term life insurance is out there. Call Term Provider and speak with Big Lou at 800-481-1458. 800-481-1458 or visit biglou.com. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too.
Get the rest you deserve with Helix Sleep. Helix makes personalized mattresses to fit your unique body type and sleep preferences and give you the best sleep of your life. Go to helixsleep.com and get up to $200 off mattress orders.
For over 20 years, Wheel of Fortune slots have paid out more than $3 billion in jackpots and made over 1,000 millionaires. Play Wheel of Fortune today. Wheel of Fortune is a registered trademark of Caliphone Production Incorporated. All rights reserved.
This is John Greenhut, and if your teeth are stained from coffee, tea, or smoking, Power Swabs is the answer. In 5 minutes, you'll see 2 shades whiter teeth, and in 7 days, 6 shades. Even better, there's no messy strips or trays that you'll have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth for 5 minutes, and you're done. To try Power Swabs, call 1-800-679-0969. Your bright white smile will have your friends talking about how great you look. Try it risk-free. 1-800-679-0969. That's 1-800-679-0969.
Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDAWN.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. Coming up here in a few minutes, it'll be Mike Babcock from TMZ Sports. But you know what? Bill and Hillary Clinton are now opening up about this Lewinsky scandal that took place. If you recall, Lewinsky, the cigar, the oral sex in the Oval Office, they're opening up about the scandal in this new Hulu documentary called Hillary. So this is how Bill Clinton feels about Monica Lewinsky now. It's very interesting. Have a listen to this.
I feel terrible about the fact that Monica Lewinsky's life was defined by it, unfairly, I think. You know, over the years, I've watched her trying to get a normal life back again. But you got to decide how to define normal.
I feel terrible about having oral sex in the Oval Office. I was just trying to get through the anxiety of it all, and I got to say she did a really good job. Oh, boy, I'm sorry. I just can't help myself. Anyway, Hillary Clinton.
He does not sound healthy, by the way.
No, he doesn't.
No.
Hillary Clinton also commenting on it on Breaking the Bad, I'm sorry. This is actually Bill Clinton, if I'm not mistaken, on how he had to break the bad news to Hillary and his daughter. Listen to this.
I can't believe you lied. It just, anyway, was horrible. And I said, if this is going to be public, you have got to go tell Chelsea.
She said, well, you have to go tell your daughter. She said, that's worse than me. And so I did that, which was awful.
I mean, how does that conversation go? Honey, Chelsea, sorry, I cheated on your mother. I had sex in the Oval Office with Monica Lewinsky, one of my interns. I apologize. I mean, how does that conversation even start?
I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky, but I am currently wearing her underpants.
How do you have that conversation with your daughter about a situation like that? And you're Bill Clinton. Like, what do you think Chelsea said? You think Chelsea said, I don't blame you, Dad. Good job. You think she gave him a high five? No, probably not. Good job, Bill. Good job, Daddy. Monica's a hottie. No, I don't think she said that. But no, in all seriousness, that he's being honest there. You could hear it in his voice. That had to be an extremely difficult thing.
I talked to Chelsea. He said, Daddy, I would have cheated on Mama too.
That's terrible. JD, you're being very unfair to the Clintons. It's very unfair. No, but seriously, man, I mean, that's a tough situation in any relationship, especially when you're the president of the United States. And the embarrassment that he put Hillary through and his daughter through. And by the way, this wasn't just one woman. Multiple women that he slept with, and some of whom claimed sexual assault, rape. Now, he wasn't charged or convicted on any of that stuff. But
and he was pretty close with Jeffrey Epstein. They had a pretty close relationship.
Well, Bill, listen, Donald Trump used to hang out with Epstein
too. They knew each other, and they hung out to the degree that Epstein had a picture of Bill Clinton in a dress on his, in one of his houses.
Yeah, what's up with that? By the way,
I don't know. A painting.
That Epstein.
A painting.
Not only was Epstein just a horrific criminal and pedophile, but I mean, why would you have a picture of Bill Clinton in a dress, a painting up on your wall? What is the purpose of that? Did he find Bill Clinton attractive in a dress? Epstein?
It kind of reminds me of there was an episode of the show called Billions on Showtime last year.
Yeah.
And if you get into this like super high profile, top of the line investment club in upstate New York, you have to, when you get into this club, I can't think of the name, but you show up in a dress, dressed in drag. And it was that situation was very similar to what I think Bill Clinton was dressed up in that picture on Jeffrey Epstein's wall, who Jeffrey Epstein himself was kind of a high profile hedge fund guy in New York City. So there could be some similarities there.
We will definitely get back to this story next week. But coming up next, it's Mike Babcock from TMZ Sports. Hey, we got some funny stories with Mike. Julian Edelman studying for his bar mitzvah. Joey Chestnut crushing 32 Big Macs. That and much more coming up next. This is the Vegas Take.
Anxious moments for more than 3,000 passengers aboard a cruise ship off the coast of California. Correspondent Dan Simon reports they're awaiting coronavirus tests for some sick passengers.
Where this cruise ultimately winds up, we do not know. This is the cruise ship terminal behind me. It was supposed to come on Saturday, and now it just remains parked off the San Francisco coast. The key thing going forward is what are these test results going to show? And hopefully we'll get some preliminary answers at least within the next few hours.
Officials canceled a large Hispanic street festival in Miami's Little Havana neighborhood, citing fears that crowded events could spread the virus. President Trump is trying to reassure Tennessee residents the government will help them recover from the massive losses from the tornadoes this week.
God be with them, and we're going to be with them. We're going to be with them all the way.
24 people were killed in those tornadoes. On Wall Street, stocks down. The Dow was off about 560. I'm Mike Moss.
Here is It's time to check the roads.
From the Letterman Road Traffic Studio.
This report sponsored by Dell. Roadwork continues on Blue Diamond, east and westbound at Arville Street. Watch for slowing in the area. And also road crews are on the job at the airport connector over the 215 Southern Beltway. And in the Northern Valley, an accident reported at Lake Mead Boulevard westbound near the 95. Injury sustained, police and fire at the scene. Save up to 45% during Dell's semi-annual sale on business laptops and desktops with Intel Core processors. Speak to a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-BY-DELL or visit Dell.com/business deals. John Michaels from the KDON Traffic Center.
President Trump has been exonerated, and now there's something every real American ought to have. Limited edition Trump 2020 American Eagle Silver Dollars. Celebrate Trump's historic victory with limited edition American Silver Eagles, specially priced from government.com. Just call 1-800-895-7664. Hold the weight of democracy in your hand with new, perfect, uncirculated condition Silver Eagle coins. These historic coins, signed into law by Reagan, have been America's money since 1986. To secure your new limited edition Trump 2020 American Eagle Silver Dollar coins, call 1-800-895-7664. Call now and we'll give you a free Trump 2020 Patriots Pack, including a Declaration of Independence commemorative and 5 Lincoln cents when you order. Call now to secure your silver dollar coins. Plus, get your free Trump 2020 Patriots Pack, valued at over $10, free with every order. 1-800-895-7664. That's 1-800-895-7664.
V is for victory, except on Saturdays when V is for veterans. That's Veterans Talk, The Forgotten Promise. Join us every Saturday from noon to 1.
Veterans Talk every Saturday at noon on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDWS.
I'm Jim Snyder.
And I'm Marie Mortera. We want to thank you for making News 3 your #1 choice for news.
Every weeknight at 11, you can count on us to have the big story of the day.
Plus breaking news that matters to you.
Jim Snyder and Marie Mortera. News 3 live at 11.
This is Lorraine Hunt Bono, inviting you to tune in for Breaking Bread with Bono. Join my husband, Dennis Bono, as celebrities share with him their intimate and humorous stories. Saturdays, 5 to 6 p.m., right here on KDARN.
Here is some great news. If you missed the deadline to sign up for health insurance, or if you sign up for a plan that you're just not happy with, you still have a choice. It's called MediShare. It's the affordable alternative to health insurance, and it's worked beautifully for 25 years. They have more than 400,000 members now around the country. MediShare is a Christian healthcare sharing ministry, and over the years, members have shared over $3 billion of each other's medical bills, so they could help share your needs too. And best of all, you could save a lot of money with MediShare. The typical savings for a family is about $500 a month. Your savings could be more or less, but think about what you could do with that extra money every month. You're not stuck with a high-cost health plan. You can join MediShare anytime, so call them today and check it out. Here's the number to find out more, and there's no pressure. They are super easy to talk to. Call 844-91-BIBLE. That's 844-91-BIBLE. 844-91-BIBLE.
Poor Sam was a mess. Always itching, licking. His paws were soaking wet. He had bald spots on his back. DINOVITE.com. 2 weeks after he started Dynamite, I started seeing great improvements, and today 99% of his issues are non-existent. Dynamite is nutrition. Dynamite is the best thing you can do for your dog.
You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
I get my Dynamite from DINOVITE.com.
If you're one of the millions of Americans who owes back taxes, if you get nervous when the mail comes because you might get a letter from the IRS, then you've heard. Their enforcement agents are cracking down this year and can garnish your paycheck, levy your bank accounts. Even your home or business could be at risk over unpaid taxes. It's all true, but it's also true there's a way out. It's called the Fresh Start Initiative, an important government program for tax debt assistance. The award-winning experts at Optima Tax Relief will fight to get you the best deal possible, protecting your paycheck and your assets from IRS collections. But don't delay, because the IRS is tacking on interest and hefty penalties every single day. So don't wait until it's too late. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-375-2922. 800-375-2922. 800-375-2922.
Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com. Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDAWN.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro, wrapping up a week of great shows and great guests. It is Friday, and that means it is time for our guy, Mike Babcock from TMZ Sports, who joins us now. Mike, always appreciate it, my man. How you doing?
What's up, fellas? How are you?
Doing good, doing good. So I want to start.
Great, Mikey.
I want to start with the baseball theme because we've got a little Major League Baseball in town this weekend. There's this team called the Charleston River Dogs. They're the New York Yankees minor league affiliate. I know you're a big Yankees fan. And apparently they have canceled their OJ trial night promotion after admitting it was a bad idea. What the hell was this OJ trial night? What were they thinking?
I have no idea what they were thinking. I think they came to the right decision in canceling it. What it was one of these minor league baseball promotions. And it was a play on the OJ murder trial. They were going to turn the crowd, the fans, into a jury. But instead of talking about whether OJ was guilty of the murders, they were going to deliberate on whether orange juice should have pulp or no pulp. So it was kind of a play on the murder trial. As soon as they announced it, they announced their whole promotional calendar, and people immediately said, what the hell are these guys thinking? There was immediate backlash. The team came to their senses, and they have completely canceled this night. It was, I think, an ill-conceived promotion. Thankfully, they canceled it. This was a team, Aaron Judge, Gary Sanchez, a lot of the guys who are now on the Yankees big league roster have came through Charleston and played for the River Dogs. But, they missed the mark on this one.
So long-term golfer, Scott Piercy, who we actually had as caddy on our show, but he made a pretty homophobic remark about Pete Buttigieg, and he lost his sponsorship with Titleist. Talk about that.
Yeah, he made a joke that wasn't funny. Posted a homophobic meme, and he gave what a lot of people believed was kind of an empty and a hollow apology. And because of that, as of this morning, he had already lost two of his big sponsors, one being Titleist, and then the other a little clothing deal that he had. But he made a joke about a guy who, obviously we know Mayor Pete's story, and he said something that he shouldn't have said, and because of it, now he's going to pay in his pocketbook. And he's probably lost some fans also.
Just completely idiotic. And,
ridiculous.
The problem is when you look at the PGA Tour, a lot of people perceive the PGA Tour as white, elitist. I know, you've got some African Americans and people, that are obviously extremely successful on the PGA Tour that are minorities. But again, when you think of the PGA Tour, you think of white elitist, white privilege. Certainly, I think that way. But this certainly doesn't help that, right? That's for sure.
No, not at all.
No.
Not at all.
Yeah.
I just sometimes think, what are these people thinking? Even if it's not something that you made. In this case, it was a meme.
Right.
I don't know that he's the one who actually made it, but you got to be smart enough to realize when you are somebody who's famous and in the spotlight that you cannot even share something that was made by somebody else.
Well, speaking of stupidity, let's talk about the University of Kentucky. There's a fan there that was banned from now all University of Kentucky events for hurling out the N-word. I mean, it's amazing that this stuff is still happening today. Talk to me a little bit about this.
Yeah, Kentucky Wildcats playing Tennessee earlier this week, and there was a fan who was making her way out of the stadium, and she turned to a fan, and she called him the N-word, and it was plain as day. The fan happened to be recording, and like I said, it was very clear, very evident what she said, and her face was visible. So Kentucky, conducted an investigation, and once they were able to identify exactly who this person was and talk to the fan who was on the receiving end of this terrible insult, they've completely banned her from all University of Kentucky events. So she's not going to be going to any more Kentucky basketball games or anything else that has to do with the University of Kentucky. She is done, as I think she should be.
Was this person anyway involved in the Trump administration? Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Babcock. That was a horrible joke. I'm going to leave that one alone. I apologize. I couldn't help myself. Let's go to something. Sorry about that. Let's go to something
awful joke,
a little more fun. Julian Edelman. This is kind of fun. Edelman is Jewish, if that's a surprise to anybody. He is now studying for his bar mitzvah. He never heard of bar mitzvah before. Lahayim, shalom. Tell me a little bit about this.
Yeah, Julian Edelman. His dad is Jewish, so wasn't necessarily, raised. Faith wasn't a big part of his childhood. So when most kids who are Jewish who are having their bar mitzvahs, I'd say around the 13 years old. Julian's now 33, but he's going to do this. He's going to have the bar mitzvah. He is studying And, I'm sure the guest list is going to be super impressive here. You wonder if you get like a Tom Brady spotting at his bar mitzvah. But 20 years late, he is actually going to complete this, and he's going to become a man.
That's actually pretty cool. I like that. Go ahead.
I like it too. I like it.
So Billy Joe Saunders is finally matched up with Canelo Alvarez. He calls it, the dream fight of his life. Do you think he has any shot at all at beating Canelo Alvarez? Because I don't.
Nah, I don't think so. I think Canelo is one of the, 2 or 3 best pound-for-pound fighters in the world, and Canelo's been impressive. Billy Joe struggled a little bit. Well, I don't remember off the top of my head if it was his last fight or the fight before in 2019, but you need a late-round knockout to win a fight. I don't think so. We actually had Billy in here a few months ago, actually, when he was promoting that YouTube fight with KSI and Logan Paul, and even then, that was the guy that he kept saying on camera when we were talking before we started shooting that he wanted Canelo and he felt like he had the answer, that he knew the kind of the cheat code of how to beat Canelo. So he has been confident this is the fight that he wanted, and I think it's a really appealing fight. I don't know what's the best fight you can make out there for Canelo, but I think it is one of the best fights you can make. I think fans will be interested. I think Billy Joe truly does believe that he could win, but I think Canelo is just too good of a boxer, too powerful, and I think Canelo will win the fight.
And this is just in. There's rumors spreading that Oscar de la Hoya has said that Canelo Alvarez has now officially just learned his 7th word of English. So is that true? Have you heard that? I'm sorry.
Canelo's before when I'll interview Canelo before we do the recording, whatever we're going to do for the TV show, the website. Talk to him in English. His English is really good.
Is it getting better?
Than a lot of guys who go out there and speak English during interviews. So, but I completely understand that he doesn't want to go out there and speak English if he's not completely comfortable with it. But I can tell you for a fact that that man can speak English and he speaks it well.
Yeah, and I think he should do more of it then. That gets me even more angry. Anyway, let's move on to the jealousy, which is of Joey Chestnut. This man just crushes Big Macs like I've never seen before. 32 Big Macs in 38 minutes. I'm speechless on this. The funny thing about this video that you guys posted, he's sweating like he just ran a marathon. It's disgusting. What can you tell me about this?
So gross. So gross. Yeah. So it was 38 and 32, in 38 minutes. The previous record had been 30, so he beat it by 2 whole Big Macs, which I couldn't even eat if I tried alone, just having 2. 18,000 calories worth of Big Mac, sweating profusely during this sweat, Brian. I wouldn't want to be in Joey Chestnut's house right now, mainly his bathroom. This guy is incredible. It's absolutely incredible. It's almost 15 and a half pounds.
I just don't understand how his heart can handle all that when he does that.
I don't either.
I had an XL fat burger yesterday, which is like 16 ounces, a couple things of cheese. I got 2 patties, and I had a hard time finishing just one of those, which is like what, 4?
Right, and imagine, and Judy, imagine
8 of those.
Over 15 pounds. So imagine having 15 of those. It's crazy.
Babcock, what do you got going on this weekend, man? A stud like yourself out in the town in L.A. The life,
man.
Yeah.
I don't have plans yet this weekend.
Really?
I got to do something. Not yet. I'll do something. I'll have some fun.
All the celebrity friends. I want to hear your story. Like you went to the Playboy Mansion or something.
You just got to go to Arnold's gym because no one's going there.
Arnold is in Ohio though because they have the Arnold Strut Band going on.
That's right.
Which a big portion of the expo was canceled. 250,000 people upset that they can't go to the expo. So Arnold's not in town this weekend.
Right.
But here's what I'm going to try to do something fun. Hopefully there'll be some celebrity involvement, and then we'll talk about it next week.
Well, don't get the coronavirus, okay, Mike? Be careful.
I know.
All right.
Everyone's freaking out. It's crazy.
All right, Mike. Always appreciate it when you take some time to join us. You're awesome. Catch you next week, my friend. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, guys. You too.
Thanks a lot, Mikey.
That is Mike Babcock from TMZ Sports. Man, they do such a great job. All right, when we come back, I think we're going to have a special guest in studio that's going to help us this segment and read off the hate mail. The hate mail of the day coming up next. You're listening to the Vegas Take right here on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON.
Of Nevada, inviting you to join me for the Credit Show, Saturday mornings between 9 and 10, here on the new 101.5 FM and 720 AM, KDON.
Are you maxed out on your credit cards? Well, DebtBlue can lower your payments, reduce what you owe, and help you no matter what your credit score is. With DebtBlue, your outstanding balances could be reduced by 40, 50, even up to 60%. DebtBlue has an A-plus rating from the Better Business Bureau, so discover how much money you can save in the first free call. Call 800-291-6670. 800-291-6670. The call is free. The information is free. Call now. 800-291-6670.
Imagine crossing a street busy with traffic. Against the light.
Watch where you're going.
Wearing a blindfold. Would you do this? Probably not. It's one risk obviously not worth taking. Some risks aren't as obvious, yet could be just as deadly, like the risk for type 2 diabetes. If you're overweight or over 45, if you're not very active, or don't eat as healthy as you should, there's an easy test you can take to find out your risk. It's free, and in less than a minute, you'll know if you're at risk for this deadly disease. Just go to diabetes.org/take-the-test or call 1-800-DIABETES. Because type 2 diabetes is one risk you can't afford to take. Take the diabetes risk test and stop diabetes before it stops you. A message from the American Diabetes Association.
Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 1015 FM, 720 AM, KDON.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. Man, I am really looking forward to the weekend. Yeah, I really am, actually. Major League Baseball this weekend, of course, Cubs and the Reds. We got the Mountain West Conference Tournament. We got the West Coast Conference Tournament. If you're a sports nut like I am, this is going to be a lot of fun. A lot going on this weekend, and we're looking forward to it. But, you know, speaking of looking forward to it, our producer always walks into the studio with a great big smile on his face. Why? Tell us why, Mr. Stein.
Well, it's the time where I get to come on and do hate mail.
Oh, it's the hate mail segment of the day.
Where I can live vicariously through the listeners in making fun of you.
And we have, well, I appreciate that. Thank you for your honesty. We also have a very special guest in studio, Rich the High Roller. He is a friend of the show, a friend of mine. I've known Rich for a little while. Hello. Hello there. Hello, Rich. Thanks for sitting in and helping us with this segment. It is the hate mail segment of the day. Should we give, well, Stein, why don't you start off?
I'm going to show him how it's done.
Yeah, show him how it's done.
Although you listen to the show, so you get the idea.
You're a fan of the idea.
But I don't want to make you too nervous here, so here we go. These are some of the comments that are scrolling alongside our YouTube page. Someone called Trump Tribe, whatever that is, liked your hat today, Brian. This is actually a compliment. Best hat you have, although it's a little ironic that you wear it considering how much you hate Trump.
Well, I'm not making.
You're wearing your Trump visor with the orange hair today.
I'm not wearing the hat because I support Trump. I'm wearing the hat because it looks ridiculous, and I like looking ridiculous. I do a good job.
It's actually, he's wearing it because it's going to be plausible for him when he votes for Trump in 2020.
This person doesn't get the humor in it, I guess.
Right, that's fine. That's not a surprise. Go ahead, Rich. Rich the High Roller.
Susan Moreno says, "Hi guys, how are you? Hi Brian, your hair grew back. Yay!"
Another person who doesn't quite get that. That's a wig.
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
a lot of missed humor, irony here.
All right, my turn. One of my new favorite listeners, Maybelle Shapiro, who calls herself Brian's mom.
Which clearly she's not.
Huge Mabel fan.
Yeah,
by the way.
because my mom,
Mabel's great.
because my mom has an IQ over 20. This person clearly does not. Go ahead, Stein.
Maybelle Shapiro writes, when Brian was 14 and mostly bald, he would sometimes wear one of my wigs to school. The other children found out and ridiculed him relentlessly, and when he lashed out, they told him not to flip his wig.
Very, very funny. Very, very funny.
And it's funny because he was homeschooled at 14, and so all the kids at school were actually dolls, and then his dad was the one that scolded him for being 14 and bald.
Just for the record, many men in Las Vegas have told me that she is bald in all the right places. Go ahead, Rich. You're next. Go ahead.
This is somebody posting as Angel or Angel. Never so. And now you're God. Who's the lunatic?
And that goes back to hour number 2 where you were screaming into the phone, into the microphone, "I'm God Shapiro! I'm God Shapiro!" If in case people missed that.
Yeah, I was mocking the ultra religious people.
You did create a great soundbite for us though today by doing that, Brian.
So we'll use that down the
absolutely.
road. We'll use that in the future.
If you're official with the Old Testament, God should have a Jewish last name.
I'm not. Would it be possible? Can you get are there any Bibles that are signed by God or Jesus? That would go for a lot on eBay, wouldn't it? That would go for a lot. What do you think that would go for? Has Jesus? I'm serious though.
A lot of drachma.
Now I'm being serious. Has Jesus Christ ever signed something? Like I don't know, through like
a stick?
Yeah, like a stick. Like, is there any? Has Jesus ever done that before? I'm not saying like an 8x10 glossy photo with a Sharpie. I'm saying, you know, is there any Jesus Christ memorabilia? That's it. There is, right?
The real
I'm
question
serious.
is, so the Shroud of Turin is a Jesus Christ memorabilia.
I don't even know what that is.
The answer is no, sir.
No.
Were there quill pens back then?
I don't know.
No quill pens back.
You know, are you sure? How do you know that?
Come on.
I don't think you know that, Stein.
That wasn't
I don't
until,
think
like,
you
Ben
can
Franklin.
accurately make that statement.
That came around later.
There may have been quill pens.
They had feathers.
Like, what if you had like some of Jesus's hair? That would go for a lot of
BC.
money, I would imagine, right? That would be a very like I'd hang that up on my wall. That would be a piece of memorabilia. You know, I have a lot of
Pretty
memorabilia.
sweet.
I'd put it right
You know,
next to.
it's possible that Howard Stern actually has some of Jesus' hair.
It's possible. I would
It
put
is.
that. By the way, I would put that right next to my Robin Williams signed autograph on my wall. I'd put Jesus' hair right next to it. I would. That's a piece of memorabilia. It's a piece of history. I'm serious. I would actually do that. There were no pens or markers back in the days that Jesus was here, but it would have been worth a lot. That's all I'm saying. All right, if you had anything right now that you would get Jesus to sign, I know I'm a little off kilter. What would it be? I'm serious. For me, it'd be the Bible.
I think a MAGA hat would be pretty sweet.
No, well, that's not funny. But
Why is that not funny?
No, it's not funny. You're just not funny. You're not. That's not funny.
You're telling me you wouldn't want a MAGA hat with a Jesus Christ autograph on it?
No, I wouldn't, because Jesus wouldn't support Donald Trump. So no, I won't want him to sign the Bible.
Who do you think?
Well,
Jesus?
obviously Bible would be number
Yes,
one, but
that
you
would-
took that one from me, so I had to come up with the
Oh,
second
okay.
best thing.
Okay. At least you're attempting to be original. I can appreciate.
How about
that.
if Jesus signed your breasts?
My breasts? I don't have breasts. Chris Wynn does. I don't have
What
breasts.
about your G.I. Joe Cobra shirt? Cobra
no,
Commander.
not really.
No,
Not really. You're not wearing your white shirt today. What happened?
I switched it up.
Why?
I was getting cold, so
Why'd you
I
sign
added
it?
I added a second layer, a nice yellow layer.
Next YouTube viewer writes, Broken Record Brian. I thought the show was not live for a second. Brian going down his Trump checklist. Talk about the Twilight Zone.
I like it how people. By the way, it's the Trump fact checklist.
No, it's a checklist.
No, it's a fact checklist.
You are a bit of a broken record. You go, someone who makes fun of POWs, someone who makes fun of women, someone who makes fun of Nancy Pelosi's teeth.
I haven't made fun of short people today,
You
but
know,
I
I
will
would
start
like
with
to-
you.
Gold Star families.
I would like to see your
That's what they're
checklist
referring to.
expand just a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
he's said other things
Yeah,
in the
maybe-
last
maybe-
5
maybe
years.
three more.
He has.
Yeah,
I'll-
you need to start.
I will listen. I will gladly expand on the checklist,
Altering
but the
that.
reason why I name those because I think they're some of the most egregious.
Right, obviously.
That's why I name those first. Okay, Mr. Rich.
Oh, you got some religious schooling here.
Oh boy,
Don't mock the Bible. That's your problem, Brian. You never read the Bible. Ignorance is no excuse. Try reading it. Start with page 1.
So because I should believe in a fairy tale, I guess that's ignorance. No, I haven't read the Bible, and I will never read the Bible because I would rather bang my head against a wall. Quite frankly. Go ahead, Stein. Go ahead.
I think you should read the Bible.
Absolutely.
Next comment.
Thou shall not be short. Get the hell out of the studio,
Short
Stein.
jokes are the
Yeah.
lowest hanging fruit of a joke. I mean, those are someone called me a shrimp when I was in 6th grade.
Thou shall not use a high chair in studio.
Oh,
I think Jesus wrote that. Go ahead.
Okay. I purchased a Brian Shapiro punching bag yesterday. My knuckles are still bleeding.
I think his knuckles are bleeding because he was punching out his cardboard cutout of Donald Trump. I think that's what he was doing, actually. That's not even funny.
No, the question is,
I think it's funny.
Who's selling those, and why are we not making revenue from it?
Listen, I'm very proud to say I have my Ocasio-Cortez cardboard cutout.
How many of these things are out there? How many Brian Shapiro punching bags are out there? I'm very serious right now. How many are out there, and who's selling them, and why are we not making the money?
You're
off
excited about
That's
that.
gotta be
Absolutely.
trademarked.
You're going to love this one.
Yeah.
I want to punch you every time we go out to eat.
Well, good luck in reaching my head. You're up to my waist. What are you going to punch me in the groin?
Now, I will have you know that Stein has a significantly longer wingspan than his height. He's got a 5'11" wingspan.
That's
Yeah,
true.
Yeah,
If only-
he's got long arms.
If only his genitalia matched his wingspan. Go ahead, Rich. You're next.
Another big one in the product endorsement category.
Don't laugh. You have to be serious, Rich. What are you laughing for?
I purchased a Brian Shapiro roll of toilet paper yesterday.
Really?
I can't wait to use it during the COVID-19 city quarantine.
Well, good. You know what? I hope that listener had the worst diarrhea, so that person had to stock up on toilet paper because that means we're
Again,
making money.
Email content at the Vegas Take and let us know who is selling all this memorabilia and paraphernalia because we need to make money off of it.
By the way,
I'm just
speaking of
tired
money, speaking of toilet paper and money, you do cost the Beasley family at Beasley Broadcasting a lot of money with toilet paper every day, JD. You take a lot of dumps
I'll tell you
during the
what,
show.
I've only taken, I think, 3 constitutionals all week.
JD, I have a question.
Constitutionals.
That's right, constitutionals. They're approximately 5 to 7 minutes in length, and I use
5 to 7.
I use maybe a quarter roll of toilet paper over the course of a week.
You know what my wife always says? She says if you're in there like a lot, because when I would use the bathroom and we had one bathroom.
Your wife thinks I'm masturbating.
No. She should be pounding on the door saying I got to get in there, and I'd say because I'd be reading the paper and I'd be taking my time, and she'd say if you're in there for that long, you don't really have to go. 5 to 7 minutes is a long time. If you really have to go, you're in and out.
It takes me 30 seconds, and I don't even really wipe. So
do you use the toilet seat covers, by the way? The ones that the little pieces of paper that you put on the toilet seat that they provide for us?
Do they actually have those?
Yeah, they're in there. Okay, I guess that answers my question.
The answer is absolutely.
They're Brian Shapiro seat
The
covers.
answer is absolutely not.
Wait, you didn't even know that seat covers existed?
Not here. No.
You are sheltered.
No,
I'm filthy.
I've never seen them.
Let me tell you something.
They're right to the right of the toilet.
No,
Let me tell you something.
I can't miss them.
People would use those in my old 04 Hyundai Elantra because there was a chance you could get a sexually transmitted disease if you were just sitting in my car. That's how dirty
Ryan,
it was.
I got sick in your car at least 20 times, and
That's
I was
true.
in there 22 total times.
It's true.
Okay.
That's true.
That's
Rich,
90%
Rich, I'm going to
rate.
teach you what I do at the end of the hate mail segment. We rip it.
Oh, you pulled
Tommy, I'm sorry,
You pulled
Tommy.
the Pelosi.
Pulling a Pelosi.
Wow, you guys pulled the Pelosi.
Two Pelosi's.
What are you guys doing this weekend,
Dual
by the way?
Pelosi's.
What are you guys up to?
Back to the mountains, doing a little skiing this weekend.
Are you really?
Yeah.
You don't strike me as the skiing type.
I'll Bunny Hill skiing.
Wow.
And then to the lodge and
That's fascinating.
some food.
That is fascinating. Stein,
Company.
that sounds fun, actually.
Yeah.
Sadly, I'm doing whatever you do because you're my only friend. Which consists this weekend. We'll be watching some more basketball tournaments. I think we're going to go to Big League Weekend at the Aviator Stadium.
And Chris
watch
Bryant,
the Cubs. See Chris Bryant.
Chris Bryant's going to be speaking to the media tomorrow morning. We just found out, so
we'll
that's
go to that.
cool.
Should be a beautiful weekend.
Yes,
and then
beautiful.
in between, I'll be watching you eat sandwiches with copious amounts of mayonnaise on them.
That's true. That'll probably happen too. No Chippendales, Stein, for you this weekend, or
no? I don't have any more money, and
okay.
they've also banned me.
I'll try. I'll try to get you some free tickets, comp tickets.
But I have my calendar.
We can come.
The calendar I have to take down every time the handyman comes to fix my sink. I have to take my Chippendales calendar.
I have a feeling JD might be going to Bed Bath & Beyond if he has time.
You know
what else will you do?
I'm going to try to. I'm hoping to play. The cash ball's up to $51,000, by the way.
Bingo.
But I'm starting to wonder because I play this bingo that anytime a new tourist. So here's the deal: Red Rock stock is as low as it's ever been. It's $16 a share, down from $30 a share over the last 6 months. Whenever someone sits there and plays bingo, it's a tourist who had never played before. They always win immediately. The 1 p.m. cash ball is $21,000. The 7 p.m. is $50,000. Something doesn't seem like it's on the up and up. I'm probably going to take a slight bingo hiatus, and I may actually attend Big League Weekend and the WCC tournament as well as watch the games tonight. So hopefully I might actually spend some time, with Brian and Stein and the Vegas Take team.
Thank you guys for asking me the question. I appreciate you're all very caring, but I do have a few dates this weekend, believe it or not. In the midst of all that, I am also going to be watching some college basketball and some Major League Baseball. Rich, thank you so much for being here and sitting in and watching what we do.
A lot of fun.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Have a great weekend, everybody. Sean Hannity coming up next.
Your home for Sean Hannity. KDWN Las Vegas, KKLZ HD2 Las Vegas, a Beasley Media Group station.
Waiting for results. A bird's eye view. I'm Mike Moss. Stuck off the coast of California, more than 3